Here.
Ms. Greenfield?
Here.
Mr. Hammond?
Here.
Mr. O'Day is absent. Mr. Smith is absent. Mr. Mayor?
Here.
Okay, notice of this meeting was provided to the Bernardsville News, the Courier News, and the Star Ledger, filed with the municipal clerk, and posted on the municipal bulletin board on December 11, 2018. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we have a number of presentations tonight. So I will start by reading our proclamation of the Mayor, Borough of Bernardsville. Whereas food is the substance by which life is sustained, and whereas the type, quality, and amount of food that individuals consume each day plays a vital role in their overall health and physical fitness, and whereas there is a need for continuing nutrition education and a wide-scale effort to enhance healthy eating habits, now therefore I, Mary Jane Canos, Mayor of the Borough of Bernardsville, do hereby proclaim the month of March as National Nutrition Month in the Borough, and I encourage all citizens to join the campaign and become concerned about their nutrition and the nutrition of others in the hope of achieving optimum health for both today and tomorrow. And I proudly enter this proclamation into the public record of the Borough of Bernardsville on this 11th day of March 2019. Yeah. And we have Allison Sanderson here from Wakefern to tell us about what this means.
Take a few minutes. Thank you so much for including me on the agenda today. So March is National Nutrition Month, and my name is Allie. I'm the dietitian right down the street at the Bernardsville ShopRite. I do have some snacks and goodies here for you. If you didn't know, tomorrow's National Flapjack Day. So there's a little high-protein fiber pancake mixes, some substrates, and family recipes. Some of the services I provide at ShopRite are all free of charge for customers in the community. So one-on-one consultations, group nutrition classes, kids programs, and do a lot of work here in the community too with the schools, all three of them actually, as well as senior groups and scout troops and all kinds of things just to encourage health and wellness in terms of food. So if anyone has any questions, you now know where to find me. So come on down to ShopRite. If you're in the area on Saturday, I'm actually having a big March into Wellness event at the store. We'll have free product giveaways, coupons, and recipes. So if you're going to shop this weekend on Saturday and then come for some free goodies. So, thank you.
And Allie is also on the Mayor's Wellness Campaign Committee and helping us out. Yeah, so we got some things planned for that. So thank you for volunteering.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, do you want to give her a copy of that, or?
Yeah.
Or do you can take it with you? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now we have the Downtown Development Committee, so who's leading the way? Are you all coming?
All of us.
All right.
Democracy. Okay, I'll start. We thought this would be a good opportunity to give the council, do I need this one?
No.
Oh, okay. We thought this would be an opportunity to give the town an opportunity to hear what we've been doing since we appeared in December and what our plans are going forward and some of the reactions to the Quimby RFP. And also we want to make this a conversation. We've not passed the room because we want this to be a conversation where we can get guidance from you on our initiatives and our next steps and what the calendar looks like a little bit. So you have our little package of materials, and I'm going to start with, I don't know, is this okay? Standing here? Yeah? Okay. I'm going to start with Quimby Lane. So we sent out the request for proposal shortly after the last council meeting in December. And the request for proposal elicited some comments, but not questions, but not very many. So we went out and talked to some developers, both Phil and I, which was actually great that Phil took the initiative from Topology to do that since he's not on the payroll. And it came back to us that a lot of developers thought it was very complicated for a small project. And that in particular, the fact that there were so many parcels and the town wasn't sticking their neck out to assemble the properties, made it a little bit unusual. So what we thought we would do, again, brainstorming with Phil on his own nickel, which was kind of amazing, is we would divide the property into two halves. And the east side of Quimby Lane is the side that has no environmental restrictions, only has two property owners other than ourselves, the owner of the post office site. Both those property owners want to sell. I spoke to them both several times. And so if we can get that side going with the obligation that phase 2 is on the other side, and remind people that open space funds should be available for application. We didn't say available, but available for application. Then it would make sense to phase it to make it easy to do the first side. So then we went a step further and said, and you don't even need to talk to those guys who are very willing, and we'd give you their contact information. You just need to put your bid for their property in your RFP proposal, and your bid for ground rent to the town in your RFP proposal. And that way, we can take it to them all at one time. By the way, for the record, Phil thinks if we get 4 responses to the RFP, we'll be really, really lucky. Because Summit, which is a terrific town, just went out for an RFP with, with much better transportation and much better economics and demographics, went out with an RFP for 10-acre site, and they only got 8 responses. And so we're a 5-acre site, and we're cutting it in half. So he thinks 4 would be like an incredible number. So far, we've only heard noises from 2, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't, kick a lot of the developers and see if we can get them to come. So in connection with this amendment, we're extending the due date by 30 days so that those developers who are thinking of proposing can read it and rethink their proposal. So with that, I thought if we get your approval to get Phil to draft the amendment, and then we got to come back, and it'd be ridiculous. So I drafted the amendment, and Jack reviewed it, didn't have any comments. We still want Phil to review it because maybe there's some planning ease, I don't know that stuff, that needs to be put in there, probably needs to look pretty. And then if you look at the scope of the work for his little study, so he would charge us $4,500, which is mind-bogglingly low to me, for the following tasks. Okay, so the draft amendment is on the 2nd page of your materials, and I'm sure you all saw that already, I just summarized it. And then the tasks for Quimby Lane are in the bottom of the 3rd part of the proposal, 3rd page. Finalizing the format and content of Amendment 1, contacting bidders. So we're actually going to ask him to go out and contact bidders. We sent it to 50 bidders.
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah, okay. So he'll contact probably a dozen. Conduct the financial analysis of any proposal we get in, evaluate on the designs from the proposals, and more importantly to me, the scope of public works that each developer thinks we're going to have to do, and do that on a comparative basis. Evaluate every proposal for completeness, outline any legislative or regulative processes that we need to do. Develop a presentation to you all of what the proposals say, with us, of course. Develop evaluation criteria, which I think is very cool. And then we need to get the planning board we need you to ask the planning board to designate Quimby Lane, or the 2 sides, Quimby Village we're calling it, as an area in need of redevelopment. So Phil said he could draft that, but Jack, I'm sure that's a piece of cake for you to draft that, right? So maybe we save $25 or something. No, seriously. Maybe we save several $100 if we don't have to do that. Yeah, because the $4,500 is up to. It's not like we're going to pay him $4,500. It's up to what he needs to, to work for us. That includes the 4 bids. If we have more bids, he has a fixed rate for more bids. I don't know what it was, 500 a bid or something like that. It's in the proposal. Jack reviewed all the proposals we're talking about tonight. So obviously they have the cover note, that the cover specifications that you require in the town contract. They all know that, but it has been reviewed. So 3 things for Quimby are: 1, the amendment; 2, the topology; and 3, the area in need of redevelopment. So we are also going to talk to you next about the Audi dealer site. And that also, we're gonna wanna have designated an area for need of redevelopment. So, an area in need of redevelopment, we were always gonna do that for Quimby, so this is just part of the normal path of events, but we're requesting the two together. It will help us with zoning, it'll help us to speed things up, it may help us with financing. There are a lot of positive aspects of doing that. So that's something that we would like you to get the planning board working on. Can we add something to that? Any other reasons why it's good, or? Good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are there any downsides?
No downsides? None. Just because you designate it doesn't mean you have to do anything under it. Okay, so that's the first one, and then I'm going to turn it over to Paul to talk about the next topic. Oh, unless you want to ask questions about that. Anybody?
No. Okay.
Sounds good, thank you.
Okay. So here the spirit of nutrition. And the Audi site. How does that happen? So what's interesting here, well, first, thank you so much for the continued support and guidance we've had. This group has been together now, oh my gosh, Lonnie, pushing 18 months?
Is that right?
Something thereabouts, we've been working together on this stuff. And one of the continual, I think we can all agree, is eyesores, is as you drive in and out of our heart of our town is that Audi dealership. And there's been enough struggles with that facility, and it's just run down, and obviously it just sets the tone of gloom as you pull in. With no disrespect to the property owners, but let's call it like it is. This is our town, and it's not a great representation of our town. So what's exciting here, going back to nutrition, is we have not one, but two different organizations that are proposing to take it over as an Eataly. And what an Eataly is, they are in major cities across the United States and in Italy.
I saw the first one.
All right. And what's amazing about it, it's all about it. It's a food emporium. So it's all going to be high-end Italian foods, things that you could buy for purchase, fresh seafood and whatnot. And they also have where you can dine in or take out in these facilities. So it is a whole Italian. So it's all about eating Italy, hence the concept. But I encourage you to take a look at them on the website. I just went, wow.
But
when I
it's
took a
not
look
per
at it.
se Italy, it's a knockoff.
Okay. It's a knockoff. It's Italy like. So this is, if you ever saw the movie Coming to America with Eddie Murphy, there was McDonald's, then there's McDonald's. So this is McDonald's, if you remember that movie. So, but it is going to be a knockoff style like in Italy-like. And we have two groups that are seeking to do the similar thing, and they're well-funded groups. They're willing to work with us in the manner in which we, our committee and the council, decide works best to either lease or buy. I'm not sure if you'll notice, but that building is now not just for lease, but it's now up for sale.
Yeah.
So they're willing to work with us on that. And it's interesting. Can I read the letter that they sent us?
Yeah, read it, it's great.
They wrote a letter to us, and they said, I am part of a group of Bernardsville businessmen trying to find a location for our Italy-like food marketplace concept. We are longtime residents who feel our town is ripe for creative renewal. Instead of another nail salon, bank, or strip center, we want, I think they meant strip mall.
Interesting use of words, yes.
I didn't want to be misquoted, that's what they wrote. We want to create a beautiful and uniquely designed food venue which exudes a sense of place. Our focus will be on super fresh fish, meat, and vegetables with a coffee roastery, bakery, and kitchen. As an architect whose work has been widely published and exhibited at the Museum of Modern Art, I will head our design team. David Leong, an experienced restaurateur and CEO of Orman's Coffee in New York City, will head the roastery. Jocelyn Blank, my wife, and a graduate of the Natural Gourmet Institute in New York City, will head the kitchen. Brooke Washington, a graduate of the French Culinary Institute, will run the bakery. We have two fantastic established fresh food vendors to round out our crew. We also have an experienced real estate attorney on our team to manage the economics of the venue. We love the Audi space because it is prime for urban reuse and a perfect size and location for us. We would be happy to take a long-term land lease on the property and invest the time and money, none of it borrowed, to make it a valuable addition to our town. Let's sit down and make these dreams happen. Yours truly, Adam Calkin. Pretty cool.
Yeah. It's an
Pretty cool, pretty
interesting website. He has
What's that?
architect and hygiene, architectureandhygiene.com.
Yeah, so,
Do you want to mention the legal?
yes, so what's interesting too is that if we were to purchase the land as a borough, But this also helps us too, just like with the post office, by us owning the land underneath it, we can also issue another liquor license.
Right.
All right? So there's an option for us to take a look at and evaluate by purchasing and owning the land beneath and then leasing it back to them. So we can work on the different types of structure of the deal, but if you think of that type of a concept in that location, if they were able to have a liquor license, again, which we can gather by owning the property, it would be really, really exciting. All right? And here's where we spoke with the broker, and by speaking with the broker, the one reaction was very favorable. Another some reaction was they were giddy about this type of an option.
Really?
The broker also claims all of the environmental has been cleaned up. So obviously we're going to want that in writing, but they claim that they have been cleaning up the environmental issues. All right. So here's where we need help from the council and your guidance. This. Yes, Jeff.
Before you go on, I saw that letter and it was very exciting in the packet, but you said there were two groups and I didn't see anything from another group.
Yeah, the second group said they would defer to this group
Ah.
in this one here. So this was the leading group to partner with.
And the second group would rather devote energies, if needed, on the Quimby project. Not as a developer, but some role, because really thinks that that's going to be the key for our town. But we originally had breakfast and he talked about the Italy concept.
Yep. Okay. And then, so we talk about the broker, talk about the things environmental, and here's where we need help from the council. Is, as Bonnie mentioned before, we need this designated as an area for redevelopment. And then here's the big ask for this really, really important topic here is we do need some money. $750.
Oh my God.
I'm hoping we can somehow squeeze that out, but topology, our planner does need to do an evaluation and study of the property, and they're asking for $750 to comprehend that study.
And there's
What
no
are they
real
gonna what are they gonna
deliverable
report?
from that. Sorry?
So that study's going to deliver what?
It's not real deliverable. It's kind of helping us to understand how we structure what we come back to you with next. And also, take into account Jack's views, do we want to buy it ourselves, figure out where we get the money, and do a land lease that will pay back a bond issue or a hypothetical bond issue, or do we prefer to have them buy it and maybe we give them some tax breaks during their period of construction, and what kind of rent we need to do, and we're going to want to roll up our hands and get a real proposal and put it in front of you, but we can't negotiate with just one party without an area right?
Right.
So we need the designation in order to do the negotiation.
Got it.
Any questions on?
So there won't be a
Ely?
deliverable on that 750.
Yes, thanks for clarifying.
Yeah.
So just educate me on liquor licenses. So if they buy it, they can't get a liquor license? I know there's a maximum number per town.
Yes.
But how do we invent another liquor license if we buy it and lease it to them?
We
Do you
can't
want to take that one?
The government owned, you can actually.
issue a new one.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's an unlimited number?
Apparently.
Whatever property you own.
Never been tested, is that okay?
But you
It
have
is.
to own the property.
Right.
Okay, but I forgot when the law was that started regulating the liquor license, but in summary, it's based on the population. And at the time, we had 7 liquor licenses at the time when it went into place,
That would
was
have been
my
a discussion,
understanding.
yeah.
And those were grandfathered. But technically, given the size of our town, it
We
would be a
shouldn't
much
have
smaller
that
number
many,
than that,
yeah.
just given the residents.
Right.
But this would help us. You take a look at many other towns of similar size or smaller, they actually have more liquor licenses than we do. So it's not uncommon. Okay. Any questions on the Italy concept?
No, sounds great.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Okay, my part is a new contract with Common Ground. You remember Common Ground was the design firm that did the design work on the RFP. They worked very well with us, they were timely, and I think everyone was delighted with the work product that they delivered. Now, what we want to do next is, as part of the Quimby project, we want to develop architectural sign standards, appearance standards for that project. And we want to expand those so that they cover the entire downtown area, from, roughly speaking, from Woodland, right over here, down to 02, to Finley, and perhaps a little bit on Claremont and Mill Street. Essentially the C1, B1, and Highway HD, I guess it's called the highway districts.
Right.
Now, if you remember when we did the survey for the public I guess about a year ago,
March.
in March, there was an overwhelming I brought the slide with me so I wouldn't forget the numbers, but there. 79% of the respondents supported regulating the aesthetics of storefront facades, signage, lighting, and landscape, and 94% said aesthetic appeal of the downtown is a large or vital concern. So this is something that people in town want, and what we want to do is obtain topology to develop some bases for some new ordinances. I'm sorry, common grounds. And their scope would include the placement and height of buildings, architectural design and material, signage, and they would also give us some advice on streetscaping. And the goal is to come up with standards that would be included in our new zoning ordinance or amendment to the zoning ordinance. So that means it would have to come to council. Council would have to send it to the planning board. The planning board would have to approve it and come back to council for enactment as either a revision or an amendment to the zoning ordinance. So there'd be plenty of opportunities for public involvement along the process. The work would go along in phases. It would start off with a day-and-a-half meeting with Common Grounds, with essentially town government and the redevelopment committee, sort of scope out what we want to have done. The next step would be drafting proposed regulations. They would then be presented to the same group by teleconference. So, and comments would be taken. It would be revised based on the comments. And then there would be a public session to review what the standards were. And the first session, the 1.5-day planning session, and the final one would be in person. The middle one, where was reviewing the standards of the government, would be by teleconference.
Okay.
So,
Do you want to talk about getting someone from council?
yeah, I think we haven't figured out, we haven't determined who would attend that first meeting, but presumably you, Mr. Mayor, but if somebody else from council wanted to be there, that would be fine as well.
Okay.
The total cost for the work is $14,490. Now, we talked to the Burgess firm about whether they would want to do the work. They submitted a bid. They bid $20,000 for the work, and that did not include the cost of attending the meetings that are proposed. And Common Ground said they could complete the work in 3 months, pending their own schedules, and Burgess said it would take 8 months to do the work. So we thought that the better choice would be to go with Common Ground.
Where are they located?
They're in Nashville.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
okay.
their bid includes the transportation here.
Uh-huh.
And is it Asheville or Nashville?
Nashville.
Nashville?
What did I say?
No,
Nashville?
Nashville.
Yeah, Nashville.
Tennessee.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that includes their travel.
The bid includes their travel costs.
Okay. Wow.
So there's no additional out-of-pockets that we'll have to reimburse them for.
Just two clarifications then. For deliverables, they're going to deliver something for the facades of the buildings, the architectural design of the buildings. Because I think I heard you say the signage and a couple other things, but I didn't specifically hear the word facades or.
Well, architectural facades,
Yeah.
clearances, screening of mechanicals, generally the things that you expect in an ordinance specifying the appearance of.
And in their final report, they're going to be tailoring it towards suggestions that we can incorporate into planning board standards or
The
in
contract
ordinances.
specifically provides for them to provide language that's suitable for inclusion in the zoning.
Right, and then in ordinances, okay. So then we sort of have actionable outcomes from what they're providing to us.
And this would be a going forward basis? I mean, it would be applied to any new construction or new
If
renovations?
the planning board and the council wants to do it, it would be applied going forward.
Are you suggesting that this is?
I didn't know if there's existing
not gonna-
buildings there.
This is not going to say to the guy that owns.
You gotta change this
You
and-
got to tear your storefront down. No,
Right.
this would be, and I suspect it would have this standard kind of non-conforming use language that any zoning ordinance has for pre-existing.
As much as we'd love for it to be retro,
Well, it's a bit of a
but
burden.
unfortunately you can't.
No.
But just a key point though is, we need these architectural standards for Quimby Village.
Yes.
This is,
Because God knows what can
Yeah.
be developed here, because we've seen enough in this town here, if you go up and down Route 202. I mean, I love, the businesses and whatnot here, but You know, TD Bank with a very contemporary design over here next to the Chase Bank, which is, I don't even know what that design is. I'm not gonna comment on the King Shopping Center, the architecture, so I'll just leave it at that. So I think we just have to think about, we need this for village. so
Well,
this
and also
becomes something we don't
as
wanna debate.
businesses change, a new
Well,
owner would have to comply.
That's exactly right.
That's what.
And, you know,
Right.
a lot of the buildings that are, I think most of us find unattractive in town. Of course, there's the TD Bank's a new building, but a lot of them are old. And as those buildings get advanced in age, someone's gonna come along and wanna redevelop them. And we should not be in a position where we have to react to what he wants to put up and what he wants it to look like. We should have some ability to say to the developer, look, this is what we want our town to look like, you're welcome here, but please try to make your building look consistent with our vision of what a revitalized Bernardsville looks like.
And it's not inconsistent with other towns. Basking Ridge
No.
has terrific architectural standards.
And, you know,
Not applicable to us.
We don't want 202 to start looking like Route 22.
Right.
But
I
any
agree.
developer will know that before they start their project. So they're not
Right.
gonna spend tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands on architectural plans if they know it's not gonna comply. They just gotta know what the rules are.
Yeah.
So by having the rules documented, they know it up front. So it saves them costs and saves us headaches.
And just Tom, to your point about what the standards are, building setbacks, building heights, building articulation and transparency, parking locations and access, buffering and screening of equipment, refuse storage, facades, building faces, parking area facades, openings, windows and doors, attachments, porches, stoops, awnings, roofs, shape and slope, signage overview and guidance, signage type definition and guidelines, and then some general streetscape. What's specifically excluded is landscape designs. If you guys wanted to offer them more money, then they would do landscape specifications as well, but he had to draw the line somewhere.
Now, assuming we do this was going forward, does it give developers pause on the RFPs as they wait for these to come through? Because they're kind of moving in parallel.
I think the RFP stated that we would be developing these standards.
But it didn't say what they were, and they're not going to be developed by May 1st, so.
Yeah, they're not gonna have architectural plans and stuff
Okay.
like that.
I don't think anyone is going to go into detail. I mean, if we got a rendering of the facade as an RFP submission, I would jump up and down. I just don't think that's going to happen.
Okay.
Two things, one is a statement and one's a question. Some of this is retro in the sense that you look at things like lighting, sidewalk width, and those are things that would be under our control as opposed to the individual store owner, I would think.
They are now.
Yeah, so I mean, so some of those, we were talking about conformity, you know, along the entire project. Some of those things are in our control. And then to that end, I mean, some things kind of touch base with some of our various committees, public safety, public works, shade tree, so I would encourage a broader inclusion of members of the council. The question I had was, in terms of the scope of the project, are you including that part of Mount Airy that goes up to Ammerman, the Ammerman lot? Because that's really an unattractive entry into town as well. So would they be including this into that?
Well, they did mention the other side that goes across the street from there. We didn't specifically talk about that part of the road, but it's generally the corridor, the 202 corridor, and I think that's probably broad enough to include that, at least up to the tracks.
I believe that section where you're talking about is actually a residential zone. I think it's R4 zone, and I don't think it's in the B1 zone.
The tracks down
It's
No,
railroad tracks,
as you turn
it's the walking bridge across the
Just
railroad
as you
tracks.
turn the corner.
Up to that Ammerman lot of ours,
Well,
so,
why don't we suggest that
I mean,
we
that's
consider it?
not a very pretty place.
Yeah, I mean, it's only, I think there's like one or two stores there, one store actually that's there.
That's true, yeah. All right, we can take that.
Any other questions?
That was the question of the scope.
No, thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.
Next. Got
Yeah.
One more.
So, you want me to do that part? And then, yeah, and then, is that all right? Yeah. Okay, Pat, I guess, didn't make it. He's a commuter, and once he gets to that, you'll see how unfortunate that is. But some of us who've done it already know that. The next one is the redevelopment of the train station area. So this was brought to us by Mary Jane And I guess several council members mentioned to you and other people maybe in town that needed to be looked at by our committee. So what we thought we would do is not repeat what happened 3 years ago, or not even begin to design and develop it like we talked about Quimby Lane. What we're thinking about doing is taking a fresh look, a much broader scope east-west and a much broader scope north-south, so that we can see what is the heart of our town, what is the train station area, what would best connect with Quimby Village, and what would make a permanent dent on our town. Because if we could redo a large area around the train station, and we could, in addition, do the Quimby Village concept, we've pretty much done a major thing in the town. We've really hit parking to a great degree. We've developed as much housing as the town could probably take, and we can control a concept that we have, which is outdoor activity. So outdoor activity during the day, outdoor activity during the night, something that will draw residents to Bernardsville, but will also draw people who are not in Bernardsville to want to come here. So built on restaurants primarily, and built on the idea that there are activities, so people want to come to this place rather than a restaurant somewhere else. So, and that's what we built into the RFP, and the train station project, if we think about it as a broad project, also offers us the opportunity to take kind of undeveloped, cheaper land that's not on this side of the train tracks, and maybe even create some tax base associated with that. We don't know, we haven't thought about it. We're going to be thinking about that, you know, whole cloth, you know, with a fresh new look. So what topology would do in that project, and we offered that project to John Zabo's firm to,
Burgess.
Burgess Associates.
Burgess and Associates, yes. They did not bid on it though. To conduct initial research on what are the boundaries, to come up with 2 visions for that broad area. Because we don't want to be, you know, the presentation 3 years ago was very declaratory. This is what we want to do. And this is like 2 totally different visions of what our downtown could be. I mean, because our view is that we can't really fix Route 202. I mean, we can do little pieces like this and that, but, you know, short of doing something major with those shopping centers and some of the, anyway, we don't think we can fix it, but we think we can fix something that's right in the middle of town and closer together. So what are the boundaries? What are certain visions? Under each of those visions, what would massing and build out look like? So no design, maybe assignment of uses, maybe not even, but, you know, keeping our rural feel. What would that look like, and can we build a tax base with other types of uses that we haven't even begun to think about vis-a-vis Quimby? And I don't know what I'm talking about, because we really want to be totally open-minded. And then doing a presentation that will excite people here. And we don't know what that presentation will come up with, so we just kind of want to be open-ended. But it's a big deal to kind of analytically go through what should be included in this and why. And in connection with that, and Sam's going to talk about bus service in a minute, it would be great if we could improve our train service, if we can acquire the train station building or take it over, if we can improve our train service. I had a conversation with our congressman, and he said that there were a lot of towns that are looking to improve their train service and, you know, get in line, but that he would try to help us. I also asked him to get his grant monies, because I had the opportunity to talk to a recent mayor in Morristown, and I said, well, how did you do this? 25 years ago, Bernardsville was great, you were a piece of crap, and now, you know, you've emerged so much, and what did you do? And he said, our congressman got us $500,000 to pay a planner to give us a great vision and implement that vision. And then we weren't afraid to spend the money to get it done. So I said to Malinowski, well, can you get us some money? And he said, find out where the money was from, and I'll work on that. And he assigned a person to us. I don't know if we'll do anything, but, you know, at least he returned my phone call in 24 hours, so that was good. And anyway, so we think the train station project, as Mary Jane initiated, is something that dovetailed great with Quimby Lane. It might even get us to make Quimby Lane more attractive to potential developers, although we're not going to get anything done in that fast enough because Phil asked for a few months to work on that project. So, any questions on that one?
No.
Okay, great.
Is there a cost associated with that project?
Oh, yeah,
14,000.
Sorry.
Hi, I'm Sam.
Hey, Sam.
Hey, so one of our problems that we see in Bernardsville is their transportation to New York City. I never commuted in my life, but I hear a lot of my friends complain about it. So we looked at different ways to how we can improve this. So we called a few charter bus companies and we spoke to them, and they could provide a charter bus which has a bathroom and Wi-Fi, and it's like a luxury bus. And it'll go into New York, from Bernardsville into New York, and then it'll have to stay in New York and then come back to Bernardsville, but no stopping in between, with estimated time of 1 hour, which I think greatly improves it. And I think if we could do this, I think it would make our town more attractive to the millennials coming in, and anyone, and I think it will help our real estate values as well. So what they have is they told us it's going to be $1,000 a day, and it holds 56 seats, so it'll be like $18 per day round trip, which is kind of competitive with what they're charging for the train and the Lakeland bus now. So we're just in the beginning stages of this, and we would like to do like a 2 weeks trial program. What we want to do is publicize it and see if we could get 56 people and try to pre-sell it for 2 weeks. And if we could do that, then there won't be any cost to the town because the commuters will be paying for it. And that, the whole idea is have the commuters pay for it. So that's what we're looking to do. Yes.
So it would be one trip in and one trip back, or there'd be
initially, yeah, it would be one trip in and one trip back. That's we're gonna have to work out the logistics of it. But I think for us to be competitive with other towns, we need to do something. Right now, Clinton does it.
And Chatham does it.
Chatham does it, yeah.
I think Warren does too. I think Warren has one.
Yeah, so it's I heard from commuters that it's just a real pain to commute here. It's just, you got to stop, and then every stop takes like 6 minutes by the time the people get off at 9. So I think this will be a big help if we could do it.
And a test will allow us to know where the bus needs to stop. Maybe it's up and down Madison Avenue when you get dropped in front of your office, or who knows where. But we will have the ability to drop people and not have to have them go to the Port Authority and take the subway, which is...
It'll be hard. You have to come up with what time works too.
Right, well, that's what we're going to speak to the commuters.
Right.
Someone on our committee, Pat, is a commuter, and he was going to go talk to the people at the train station and see if we could do it. But I'm sure we could probably get people from other towns as well that would come in, like Peapack, Fort Hills, that would drive here.
To get the bus.
To get the bus, if it's direct. I mean, obviously, we'd rather have it for burners only, but if we need to fill up some seats. Yeah, so it's been successful in other towns. So, the bus companies that we spoke to have no problem filling the buses.
Do they do it, and I don't know if you know this, on a subscription basis so that you're not going day by day to figure out?
Yeah,
in other words, you would do a month, right?
Yeah.
So it's paid up front, and then they don't, if somebody doesn't show, they've already, the seat's taken care of.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's what we're looking into.
So we want your guidance on this because we actually want the town to backstop our test. Because we can't necessarily ask people to pay for a month when we're going to do a test for 2 weeks, and we don't know how many people are going to actually sign up. So we thought maybe we'd get some guidance from you on how many people we can get to sign up with their credit cards ready to go for a 2-week test, say, and then we would be able to evaluate at that time whether we're successful. But probably we couldn't establish this thing with either Lakeland, which is one of the companies that did, or I just went to another company. I mean, I'm sure we could go to 10 more companies and get 10 more bids, but they came out about the same. But we probably need some help with the test. So unless you guys think there's another way to do it, maybe we don't do a test, but I don't think that's smart.
So like Lakeland would like a month commitment, but you would do it?
They don't care. These buses
or would they do
not care.
They would take a 2-week?
So,
okay.
In fact, Lakeland said, we're already booked with, they call them these charters through the beginning of May. So,
wow.
it's a gift to us, they think, by setting these things up.
How nice.
So, but we could say, do a week test. I mean, but is that good enough? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think you'd get a good sense in a week.
Yeah, I think in 2 weeks.
I think your hard part is gonna figure out, as the
Time.
mayor was alluding to, the timing, because some people are gonna wanna go into the shop during the day, other people wanna go for dinner and a show at night. Neither group may wanna spend the.
No, it'd be.
Well, no,
12 hours.
it's for the work, it's for the work.
Oh, this is for commute?
Yeah,
It's
for-
not
yeah.
weekends.
No, it's people going to work. is it?
Right.
Going to work,
Yeah.
and people
Yeah.
coming back from work.
We're just
So-
doing it to make it more attractive.
So you'd have to find what the best time is, like people want to leave
Yeah.
at 7 and come
Like
back at
Pat's at
7.
6:30,
Got it.
Right.
something like that.
Right.
When
I
the
mean, we could
biggest
see
traveling
which
is.
buses are the most crowded, and then we would also
Yeah.
know that. But, I mean, right now, it's a 2-hour door-to-door, at least it was for me when I took Lakeland.
That's what it still is, I heard.
Door-to-door. And if we can make it an hour, and then maybe have a little bit of first-time traffic in there, an hour 15 door-to-door, that would be worth it. And even if we can't get 56 people all the time, we would probably put it out for a price. It's 18, I think today they pay $11 each way, so that's 22, 18 is a
We
little
could
less.
charge 25.
We could charge, yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
To
So-
cover, missing
I mean,
seats.
somebody's gonna pay 25 rather than 22 if they could go in 1 hour.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So the question is, what do you guys think? I mean, we just really need some advice. Would we backstop, would the council support backstopping a 2-week test to some amount, and I don't know what that amount is?
Well, I would say if you can get us the data of how many
Right.
people you think might be interested, so we have an idea of how much that would cost if, if you get 10 people and that's it, then we don't, it's kind of, but if you can get,
Close to the
yeah.
56 or,
yeah,
Yeah, then,
Yeah, and I think if we told people $22 a day, they pay basically the same price for a 2-hour commute. The benefit here is you get an
yeah, so
hour
you're,
15
so
commute.
two of your hours are worth it.
Right, so with $22 round trip,
Would
that's.
be a no-brainer. 'cause
It
it's the
still,
same
it still
time.
makes sense to somebody to try it,
So it'd probably be more money than that. 'cause
Right, so
probably
then we'd only
we could
need
fill it
maybe
up.
48 people to break even,
right.
Do we know how big the pool of riders is that goes into the city on a daily basis?
We don't. I mean, we can do.
Because with the
it.
train in Lakeland, I mean, my perception is it's happening less and less frequently that people come from this far out into the city.
And that's.
Because you work from home, the people work
Yeah.
remote, and so it might be an ad hoc. I go in on Thursdays, so, I mean,
And how do you go in?
I've been driving, but that's been a disaster. It's probably take the train next Thursday, because it's, at least I can do work while I'm doing nothing else.
Right, yeah.
I mean, is there a way for us to put out like a sign-up sheet and get people to sign up? Tell people that, they get 10% discount if they sign up, before such a date. And it's only a $220 commitment. I mean, it's $220 that most of these people, if they're commuters, are gonna pay anyway. So, and we can, say that if the trial doesn't go through, they get a refund or something
So,
like that.
yeah, you mean sign up and pay or non-binding sign up sheet?
Well, either or, I mean, obviously if they would sign up and then we could refund it, but I mean, I don't know who's gonna be collecting that money, Lakeland, somebody?
It'll probably be.
No, it would have to be
Have
us.
to be
because
us.
We're gonna backstop the test.
Right.
So the town would have to collect that money.
Great.
And then all those people
Well, then
would
I-
park
yeah.
on our train station lot.
Sorry?
The people would park somewhere before getting
But these
on.
people presumably are parking
Anywhere.
in
Right,
at the
because they're either taking the train or the bus right
Right.
now.
Exactly.
Right.
So it's just determining if they would pay to have this.
Right.
Right, and there's
One
one direct
service.
train, I think, right? I mean, do you take that train, John, the direct train?
No, that's another question I had, because I go into Water Street, Lower Manhattan, if the bus of the train goes to Midtown, I take the Hoboken train,
Oh.
then take the path, because you can be Midtown, a matter of blocks could feel like miles in the city, because it's, I'm not a fan of the city, so I always kind of speak of it with a little bit of like dread,
Yeah.
but,
Yeah.
It would be better if they dealt directly with Lakeland.
If the people,
To commuters?
I don't think like.
Municipal finances, the logistics of it would be a nightmare.
So Lakeland won't run the trial themselves, just see what
They don't need to.
they're not interested?
Little or no. I mean, this is what it is, that when you want a charter, you give them a credit card and then you get the charter.
Can you also just, part of your research is find out how the other towns are paying for it? I mean, are they doing directly to Lakeland, or is it the town being involved in that?
Well, yeah, so we did find out.
Oh, okay.
So Chatham has a group who we talked to that's a little spacey, but if they are willing, if we're willing to let them do a survey to find out how many people, and it's enough people, they'll take the risk. So that's what Chatham's doing.
They have a company that would do that.
Yeah, it's a separate company.
Separate company.
They're out of Newark, New Jersey, and
Yeah.
They were more willing to work with us,
Mhm.
but just the owner was kind of flaky.
I see.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's, we're all pretty crisp real people, and flaky is a good word.
So flaky, but is Chatham actually using them, and they're?
They are.
So
Yeah,
do
and
we have
it's-
any user satisfaction from Chatham? Do we know if they're doing an okay job?
They're supporting the contract with this guy.
There's enough people using it.
Yeah,
But the subscribers are paying the bus company directly.
in that case.
Right.
And then in the case of Clinton, it's Lakewood.
It's called the Trans.
Oh, right,
Transamerica.
Transamerica, yeah,
It's
that's
a different
another
one.
one.
And they didn't even want to.
They didn't want to talk to us.
They didn't want to talk to
Too
Yeah.
busy, they don't need
Yeah,
another.
it just wasn't. Yeah, there's probably not a ton of money in it for them. It's
Yeah.
a big bus, and they got to.
As far as the attractiveness to the commuters, I was just doing a really quick little Google search here. Some of these really high-end charter buses have Wi-Fi.
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
said. Wi-Fi in the
There's
bathroom.
Wi-Fi's? Okay.
Yeah.
Wi-Fi.
I heard the bathroom part, I didn't hear the
Yeah, the
Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi was before that.
Yeah,
Okay. Well, that would certainly be
Yeah.
an advantage to them.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So, okay, so you're saying to us, get a list of people who think they might do it if we pick 2 weeks in the late spring or early summer. And then come back and then just say, here's a list of people, will the town backstop it for a 2-week? We're just gonna pick 2 weeks then for a 2-week trial. And then after that, if we did it on a more permanent basis, we'd have to figure it out where the bus company got paid for it.
Is it possible to have this newer company do their own thing in parallel, just, separate from us, just, in parallel, they could do
Well,
it?
would we let them do a survey? I guess we could, right? I mean,
Can't
then
hurt.
we would have to put
Why
it
not?
on the website and.
Or if we did one
Yeah.
survey, can we use it for ourselves and they can use
Oh,
it
of
too?
course, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, so maybe we'll do that
just
too.
a single survey, but we'll send them the data or something,
Yeah, we
Yeah.
could do that.
yeah.
Yeah, we could do that.
And then they can decide, for themselves,
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. So we'll put that in action then.
Yeah.
Okay, good. That's
Okay.
two
Good
Just
idea.
wanted to run it by you first.
Good.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean,
if we can get
it's-
something established like this and have it sustain itself, I mean,
It's a great thing.
I think it's a
just-
win-win,
Yeah, working out the logistics is gonna be the hard
Yeah.
part. Yeah, so, okay, we'll work on it. Okay,
Okay.
great, thank you.
Thanks, Sam.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we need a lot of us.
Okay, so we're gonna wrap up.
Yep.
So, it's pretty clear that, we only have up in order, to go up in terms of the downtown. So that's good. So we're optimists that we will achieve up. We hope like heck that we get great responses from Quimby. But in the meantime, we need some more bold action. We can't just wait and do this year and something else next year and something else the year after that. So there are 3 asks we have here. One is to approve the amendment that you have in your possession, subject to, topologies, edits, and tweaking and making it pretty. The second is that you approve the proposals that we put forward for topology and common ground, which aggregate $33,740 dollars. And the third is that you request that the planning board designate Quimby Village and 65 Morristown Road to be areas in need of redevelopment. And we're gonna not opt out of condemnation, we're gonna keep the condemnation in. Not because we want condemnation, not because we're advocating condemnation, because it's just a tool we have, and why should we waive it? And we may need it for the postal office, right?
Yeah, okay. Should we do those by resolution, or how do you want to do this, Jim?
Well, you can approve the topology and what's the other company?
Common ground.
Except Ralph has to certify the funds. With one, referring the redevelopment to the planning board, we should do it the next meeting, because we have the right resolution in place.
Okay,
But yeah, with the other two, as long as Ralph can certify the funds, you can approve those, and that would just be professional services contracts.
So the thing to the planning board you can't do today?
I'd rather do it next.
Okay, so, we all may not be here. Do we need to be here for that?
no,
Oh,
no,
okay.
it's just the formal,
Oh, okay,
It's
great.
a formality.
But everybody's good with it, right? Okay, good.
yeah.
I think it sounds
I'll do
good.
it next meeting.
And-
And I'll send you a copy.
Okay, and the planning board knows what to do, right? I
Of
mean,
course.
yeah. And just so I know the procedure, will the planning board approve it, or will they send John Zabo to go study it and then approve it at their next public meeting?
I can't speak to them, I suspect they'll involve John Sable.
Right, but so there's no way to give them a heads up, because otherwise we're talking about like 2 months down the road. You know, the planning board doesn't meet necessarily, more often than every month.
What is the
It might.
response we'd be waiting for them to give us on the,
That these
The
areas.
areas
can
that
be
need
desi-
redevelopment.
That it's consistent with the master plan that we designate these areas to be areas in need of redevelopment.
And how soon would you need to have that designation? Is there a timeline along with the RFPs and?
Well, I mean, Quimby is fine if we have a month or two delay, but the Morristown Road one, I mean, these guys are ready to go. I don't know if you want to
for the outing.
authorize us to negotiate. Can we negotiate with them?
We can talk to them in the meantime, sure.
We can? Okay.
I mean, as long as the council's looking at it.
who's representing the council? Are we saying this is the, you're gonna negotiate with them and then come to us with an idea?
Of course, yeah.
Is that what we're talking about?
They can't enter in.
Right, so then.
No,
yeah,
they can't,
then
you
I
can't
think-
agree to
Well, it's that-
anything.
Right, so
No,
then
no,
if you
you
wanna
wanna-
talk to them and then come forward, tell them we're in the same time frame in parallel, we're working with the planning board to get it designated as an area of need of redevelopment, that we've listened to their vision, everybody can comment on their own, we agree with the idea, it sounds like a good use, a beneficial use of the space, and that, we wanna find a solution, we're not offering any specific solution, but we wanna work with them to find a solution. I think that's my impression of what was presented, and
Yeah, I mean,
feel.
just to add on to that, I'd like the idea of keeping an open mind, but, as philosophically, public money is a backstop, put for business risk, I've a lot of trouble with that, it's, as far as like the acquisition, it's, will help, but we're not here to be in business
Well,
with
then we
them.
can tell them that they have to buy it. I mean, and then
Yeah.
we negotiate some tax incentives for them, and then.
You gotta do that.
Yeah,
Yeah, look, we keep an open mind, but just sort of like, to be fair and clear, just sort of that's philosophically, that's where I kind of come from, but
Well,
I'll listen, it's,
If we get to the same end result, that's great. But if we want to control it for other reasons, or we want to give them a liquor license, we have to do it the other way. And so, we can look at it both ways, but if the strong preference is for them to buy it, I don't have a problem in telling them that's the strong
yeah.
preference.
Are they interested in a liquor license? Did they bring that, is
I
that
raised it
something?
with them. It wasn't part of their concept necessarily, but, nobody thinks about a restaurant without a liquor license, so.
I know a lot of people like BYOs.
Yeah, but that's
it's
not
very
as much
popular.
money to the
Well, no, it's
restaurant
not,
pool.
yeah,
In fact,
yeah.
maybe we would even suggest to them that they get some beer brewery, the micro beers. There are a lot of them being established in New Jersey, and they can bring those in, I think,
Yeah,
without
you don't need a
license.
liquor license.
I think micro distilleries have been loosened up too. They're very big in Tennessee, they're not quite up here yet, but.
Yeah, but it's a great
Yeah,
idea,
it is.
maybe
I
if you
think
put it
getting
in
them
our
to
new
buy
zoning.
it is a better option.
Sorry?
I think I would push getting them to buy it.
Getting them to, do you agree with him?
Yes.
That getting them to buy it is a better
I
option?
want you to
I
open,
think we
just
should- I
come
think
with
we
a
should
basket of
look at
ideas,
Well,
but
everything,
yeah,
but
I just had to be sort
I
of-
would be leaning that way.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think we just have to take a look at it, because sometimes we do a cash flow analysis on it. It could be beneficial to the town for a long-term cash stream. So don't necessarily look at it as a one-time event, but there may be a way to look at it. But we are, to John's point, we'll be open-minded, we'll take a look at what's the best way to structure it, to get, one, the project done, and then two, beneficial to the
So,
town.
let me ask this question, if they buy it,
Yes.
and we call an area in need of redevelopment, and we put some architectural restrictions on, can we put use restrictions on for a period of 10 or 15 or 25 years?
We can, as part of the redevelopment plan, yes,
Okay, and what incentives can we offer to them other than tax reductions?
that's it. And zoning.
And
That's
zoning?
not spot zoning.
But-
It's not because it's redevelopment.
But they claim the zoning's just fine the way it is, and that there's no problem, and that giving them anything on zoning is nothing they really need, because they're only gonna do internal improvements. And they like the parking, they may just restripe it. So, the only thing, it sounds like we can offer them a tax incentive, so, if that's the case. But you're saying
It
we
has to
can,
be a pilot, it really can't be tax incentives.
It'd be a pilot program, yeah.
okay, but they own it, so how do we do a pilot program if they own it?
Payment in lieu of taxes.
I know what payment in lieu of
Yeah.
taxes are, but that's when we own it and they pay us something in lieu of taxes. I've done a couple of deals with pilot programs. If
Yeah,
they,
No, they can own it. They can own it.
They
As
can
long as
own
it's
it?
part
Yeah.
of the redevelopment area,
Mhm.
you can have a pilot program. on that. Sure, but that's legally, you can't, if they
Oh,
own it.
okay.
We don't have to own it.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
So anything else that we would restrict the use for a period of time to what they're proposing, and in exchange we give them this pilot program. And they would have to negotiate the price, and what happens if there's a gap?
That's up to them.
or up
That's
to
what
us.
negotiations are about.
Yeah, or up to us in some way.
Yeah.
You said you spoke with the broker for the current owner?
Yes.
Is that right? We spoke to the broker, and they liked the idea.
They're
Now,
designating an area in need of redevelopment, yes.
now, has anybody talked to these potential investors about what it's gonna cost them to get the property if they're gonna buy the
Well,
property?
I didn't realize we were authorized to actually talk seriously with them until.
I didn't know
this
if the
designation.
the outside group was talking to the broker.
No, which is unfortunate, because I wrote them 3 emails saying go talk to the broker, which they didn't do. I think they were waiting for us to act.
Okay.
I mean, I'll have to bring everybody into a room.
Yeah.
Yeah. And see
I
how far
mean,
apart they are.
If there is some benefit to being able to have another additional liquor license by owning it, and then if for some reason this particular outfit isn't, after a year or two, not successful, then, we still have that. That's another attractive thing for a second investor to come in and be able to, have a liquor license. They may have a slightly different concept than the
For
first group.
them having a liquor license, I would agree, is would enhance their ability to be successful.
And not only that, but I mean, even if they weren't, somebody else might be able to make a go of it too.
What
So-
about joint venture? Do you ever joint venture? No. Okay, what about an option to purchase? That would get to the point where you two don't want to spend money on purchasing, but if it's not successful, then we have an option to purchase for a fixed price, or a fixed price with a CPI. I mean, I'm just saying, how much creativity can we bring to get this thing done
But
quickly?
we can't enter into that kind of agreement without a certification.
Oh, I totally agree. We're just talking about negotiations.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say keep it as open as you
Yeah, I
can.
mean,
Explore
great ideas.
every
I'm
option.
open-minded, I just sort
Yes.
of, but just wanted to be clear about sort of where I'm coming
Just,
from generally.
whatever options are they're willing to, and you may find you're this far apart when you start in the first,
I
but,
think we need to just have a conversation with them and
yeah.
Yeah.
see what comes back and what
Yep.
options laid out,
Okay.
and see what makes the most
So we're
Yeah.
open to hearing,
I mean, we are definitely interested in seeing that redeveloped, so,
Yeah,
and we're
it's
open to
whatever.
hearing all kinds of ideas. John and I are just basically saying, right now, based on what we are hearing, that's where we're leaning. That doesn't mean that's where we'll end up, it just means that's where we're leaning now.
Right,
again,
but you
if-
understand that economically, it could be exactly the same or better. So if it's $100 purchase price and they're gonna spend $10 a year to pay us back, that could be the same thing as them buying it and paying a lease, so, and paying whatever, and we're giving them a pilot.
I think that's the point. Like if we
Right.
if we purchase the property and then the land lease covers the cost of the property, we're
That's
effectively not investing tax dollars in it, and
Exactly.
and there's the benefit of a liquor license. It may make sense to go down that path, but let's
Yeah, and I
investigate
made
and see.
a little calculation in my head where the break even is on that. But that's not to say that just because they say, because they want your enthusiasm, that they're willing to buy or they're willing to lease, that they're really willing to do one or the other. And that's not to say that the seller is willing to sell at a reasonable price.
Right.
Yeah, there's still a lot of moving parts. Here.
Exactly, and they're looking for their tax cert at, like, what is their valuation that they're looking at, and they think that.
Well, they've appealed, they have several tax appeals pending,
For years now, or just
for a
this
couple of
year?
years, yeah.
Okay.
But they're eager to sell. And one curious thing is there's no sewer connection there right now.
They claim to have,
They're working with John McDowell.
they have a letter saying that they can get the sewer and the
Yeah, well,
water.
I think they're entitled to it, but
Yeah.
it's just a matter of, one problem I know is digging up 202
Yeah,
during the period of time. after-
right, that you'd have to do it.
Okay. Great. Well, thank you
Well,
for the
yeah.
effort.
Okay, good.
Appreciate
So
it.
we're approving the studies, we're gonna do.
I think we
next
just need
meeting-
Ralph to certify that the funds are available, and I think,
Can we-
Ralph?
What was the first body?
It was 30,
3740.
But the first one, I have that,
14,490,
14,000,
490,
okay?
14,000, 4,500,
and
and
750. And what the total is 33,
740.
Tom, excuse me,
Yes.
Tom, in our budget discussions, I recall money for the 33,000
Yeah.
appropriated in the budget.
yeah,
We did talk about that. We put it on the administrative line.
administrative.
Right, that's correct, but
Yeah.
$14,000, do you, I'm not.
well, no,
No,
33,000.
is the total.
Inclusive of.
Sorry.
That's the
But
total.
it's not 33, it's 33,740.
That's okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
So the
so-
total amount,
I'm sorry, I thought that was
Yeah.
Yeah.
on top of the three.
Oh, no, sorry. So just buttoning it up, you approve those. Next meeting, we're gonna go to, you're gonna do the resolution, go to the planning board, and then the amendment to the Quimby Lane RFP, is that conceptually okay?
Anybody
Any comments, or even word comments if they.
comfortable with that, to do it in two pieces like that? And
the
yeah.
Quimby Lane modification.
And to put another month on it, yeah,
Yeah.
I think we're all
And
good
we
with
gotta get
that.
that out like ASAP,
Yeah.
that'll be. real
That's
quick.
fine.
What was the deadline for the train station area?
That's a pretty long study, they're saying about 3 months.
3 months
yeah.
there?
Yeah. They had, Jack hasn't, but I can send you guys the full proposals. We'll negotiate the timeframes on each one of them once we see, people open up their calendars and we can see exactly when people can meet and get together and, you know.
So that,
Yeah.
that puts the train station redevelopment project and the architectural standards project coming back at similar timeframes.
Similar timeframe.
Okay.
Which obviously it'll take a week or two to get the contracts done.
Right.
And so we're at the beginning of April, so April, May, June, so it'll be around July 1st, so with that.
Okay. Thank you so much. Yes, thanks for all your hard work
Thanks.
and
Yeah.
your volunteer hours.
The consent agenda to professional services resolution.
Yes.
And we're not certified accounts.
Right,
Oh, one for each of them. Okay, because there are 3 contracts.
right, so we have to do 3 resolutions for those. Okay, we'll just add them to the consent agenda tonight. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks
Thank
for
you all
volunteering.
coming in. Thanks
Yeah.
for talking to us. Thanks for all the work you've been doing in the background as well.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. We now have the proclamation for Red Cross Month. I need some water before I do this. Okay. Whereas, more than 137 years ago, the American Red Cross was established as a humanitarian organization guided by 7 fundamental principles, including humanity, impartiality, and independence, to provide services to those in need, regardless of race, religion, gender, sexual orientation, or citizenship status. Today, the American Red Cross is one of the largest humanitarian organizations in the world and delivers its mission every day to prevent and alleviate human suffering in the face of emergencies. Whereas every year the American Red Cross responds to an average of more than 62,000 disasters across the country, from small home fires to devastating massive disasters. Last year's large crises included mudslides in California, a volcano in Hawaii, wildfires in Colorado and California, destructive hurricanes in Florida and the Carolinas, and a devastating typhoon in U.S. territories. Thousands of American Red Cross volunteers provided around-the-clock shelter for disaster victims, served millions of meals and snacks with partners, and distributed millions of relief items. Whereas in New Jersey, the Red Cross has a long history of helping our neighbors in need. The Red Cross New Jersey region assisted with 902 local disasters in the past year alone, in New Jersey, wow, and helped save lives through our Home Fire campaign. Since the campaign launched in October 2014, the New Jersey region has worked with community partners to install more than 31,761 smoke alarms. Meanwhile, in our area, the Red Cross handles an average of 5,100 emergency military calls every year and collects an average of 95,000 units of blood from our generous blood donors. Whereas March is Red Cross Month, a special time to recognize and thank the Red Cross volunteers and donors who give of their time and resources to help members of the community. The Red Cross depends on these local heroes to deliver help and hope during a disaster. We applaud our heroes here in New Jersey who give of themselves to assist their neighbors when they need a helping hand. Whereas the American Red Cross shelters, feeds, and provides emotional support to victims of disasters, supplies about 40% of the nation's blood, teaches skills that save lives, provides international humanitarian aid, and supports military members and their families. Whereas we dedicate the month of March to all those who support the American Red Cross mission to prevent and alleviate human suffering in the face of emergencies. Our community depends on the American Red Cross, which relies on volunteers and the generosity of the public to perform its mission. Now, therefore, I, Mary Jane Canoes, Mayor of Bernardsville, do hereby proclaim March 2019 as American Red Cross Month and encourage all Americans to support this organization and its noble humanitarian mission. Okay. So, now, we will have an open session where we welcome comments from any members of the public. We limit the time to 5 minutes so that everyone can be heard, all of you. If you read from a prepared statement, please give a copy to the clerk and make your comments so they can be reflected, and please be respectful when you make your comments. Bob, you coming up?
Bob Earl with Carriage House Road.
Yes.
I have no prepared statement. I just want to reflect something that John said
Okay.
on the Italy, the pseudo-Italy project. This is a guy who's never done this before. Okay. We don't have a business plan, and I would be very cautious about throwing or committing public money to a private project. I mean, you guys do what you do, which is zoning and redevelopment areas and things like that. And nobody here is a real estate developer, nobody's a venture capitalist, so be real careful about throwing public money in a project.
Yeah, I think that's, I just wanted to keep it in mind.
Yeah.
Some of those ideas, it might be non-starters, but we have to have that, I'd agree with you. Yeah.
No, I agree. It's good he's coming up, but, let's take a look. He's
Oh,
he's never done this before, right?
Oh, look,
Before we get enthusiastic and start writing checks.
Real estate, restaurants, construction companies are all never great sometimes. They're risky.
Oh, yeah, right.
And we'll help, but we're not taking the risk.
Right, exactly. That's it.
Thank you, Bob. Okay.
I just think reminds me though of we have the land that's underneath the post office, and we lease that land to the post office. So,
Yeah.
it's similar in
It's
some ways
something
to
we've
that.
done.
We're not invested necessarily in the business per se, but we own the property. And I think that's,
Hey, Jack, are the liquor license is tied to the property? So we couldn't get the post office liquor
Yes.
license and auction it off to somebody else?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
if the post office were redeveloped into a restaurant with, housing above it, for example, I was under the impression from the last presentation that we could have a liquor license there.
That's correct.
At the post office, yeah.
Because we own that land.
Right.
So, again, I think, we wouldn't be investing in a business per se. Maybe we can structure it so that we're not investing in a business. We're investing in the land. The land has a value outside of the business.
But you're using taxpayer dollars on a business that you don't know if it's gonna be profitable. If they go belly up, who's gonna pay you back for the loan that you gave them?
They have to bear the risk. If they get the return, they should bear the risk too, so.
Even just as a landlord, if they go belly up, who's going to pay
We're
the
not.
rent?
Right. And I think as Bob pointed out, this is a new venture. It's not as well established, it's not a
not
Sherwin-Williams
the post office.
or the federal post office, right?
Yeah,
So,
although I
yeah.
don't think we actually lease directly to the post office. I think
No.
we lease
Yeah.
to
Yeah, there's a
middleman, is
middleman.
that right?
Yes.
So we get like $1,000.
It's not a huge profit-making.
No other market rent.
Anybody else from the public? All right, we'll close the public session and move on to public hearing on Ordinance 2019-1797, a bond ordinance providing for the acquisition of lands for affordable housing purposes in and by the Borough of Bernardsville in the County of Somerset, New Jersey, appropriating $800,000, therefore inclusive of $50,000 for soft costs, and authorizing the issuance of $761,000 bonds or notes of the borough for financing such appropriation. Would anyone in the public like to be heard on that ordinance? No. Okay, we'll close the public hearing. Do I have a motion to pass on final reading and adopt as published?
I'll move.
I'll second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Donahue?
Yes.
Ms. Greenfield?
Yes.
Mr. Hammond?
Yes.
Mr. O'Day?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Okay, we will now open the public hearing on Ordinance 2019-1798, revising construction records, clearance, certificate fees, and amending Chapter 12 of the Borough Code entitled Building and Housing. And this is just adding an extra fee if people want a shorter window than 10 days to get their certificate done. So anyone in the public would like to be heard on this? All right, we'll close the public session. Can I have a motion to pass on final reading and adopt as published?
Motion.
Second.
Roll call.
Mrs. Mayor?
Yes.
Mr. O'Day?
Yes.
Mr. Hammond?
Yes.
Ms. Repeal,
Yes.
Mr. Donahue?
Yes.
All right. Christine, you're on the Open Space Committee, right? Why don't you move that next one?
I, Christine Zamara, move that ordinance number 2019-1799 appropriating $75,000 from the Borough Open Space Trust Fund for various improvements be introduced by title, passed on first reading, published according to law, and that a public hearing be scheduled for a meeting at 7 p.m. Monday, March 25th, 2019.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Okay, for the public, the $75,000 is for landscape buffers at the Kiwanis Playground, a picnic grove at the pool, and repairs and improvements that need to be made to the dam here, right? This one at the Nervine Park. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? All right, so that will be a public hearing at the next meeting. Now we have our resolutions. Anyone want to pull anything out?
I'll pull 1953, please. Do you want to talk about it now?
Let me just see, anybody else? I thought we were going to pull 55, no? Did somebody, we had some questions on the bus, the
Yeah, we
senior
did talk
bus.
about it. Yeah, can we pull 55?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll take those two out.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't want to pull, I just wanted to make a comment on 1953.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
So for 1953, I just wanted to recognize Lauren Sugarman and Alexandra Yates and thank them for their volunteerism for our fire services company as junior members of the fire department. So thank you, Lauren and Alexandra.
Good. Nice to get young people to get
Yeah.
involved, it is.
I think this is like the fourth or fifth or
They've
sixth
got
recent
quite a few.
volunteer that we've gotten for junior membership, so I
Yeah.
thought it was encouraging.
Yeah. Hopefully they'll, they'll keep it up for the rest of their,
Yeah, yeah.
once they get involved. And then we're adding, right, we're going to add 2 for the contracts for the common ground and topology. Oh, 3.
Professional services contracts for the amount stated.
Oh, right.
Being the usual form, and Ralph will certify the funds.
Okay. So we're pulling out 1955, so would somebody move 53 through, what would it be, 57, through 60?
I'll move.
One caveat, the total cannot exceed $35,000 in total by Ralph,
Okay,
just for the record.
Okay.
yep.
I'll second.
Okay, roll call.
Mr. Donahue?
Yes.
Ms. Repeal,
Yes.
Mr. Hammond?
Yes.
Mr. O'Day?
Yes.
Ms. Zamara?
Yes.
Okay, we pulled out 54, I think, 55. That was for the senior bus that the county provides us with. Anybody, we had I had a question.
Well, it's not a lot of people use it. It's like $1,000 for 4 people. And there's another bus on Mondays, if I read that rightly. I don't see it on my hard drive, but.
Is there another bus? I thought that it was.
Well, that's what wasn't
It used
clear.
to be 2 days a week, and now it went down.
Yeah, but
to
it wasn't
1 day
clear
a
on
week.
that. I mean, it's, so, and I guess I can't find the email now, but.
Ken, it was an email from Anthony, you sent it to us. I think what was confusing is they said they also do Monday. So Monday is, we don't pay for Monday. Is that,
I would have to get clarification from the county, I'm not.
Yeah, if we could just defer that until we clarify
let's-
exactly what the schedule is and.
can we hold off on that? Because I think there, it seems like $5,000 for 4 people is a lot of money if there's another alternative that they can use.
5,000 a year, is that right?
Yeah, wasn't it 5,000?
52 something.
5,200.
It's like 100.
For 4 people.
Right, it's $103 a
But-
week.
Or either figure out a way to get more ridership for that money.
Right, and you said right in the agreement that it's our job to get the ridership. It's our municipality, the county provides the bus, it's our job to get the riders.
Yeah, and I don't know how it's advertised or promoted, so I just would like more information on the whole
Absolutely.
program.
I agree.
before we-
The question,
But I don't want to leave our seniors hanging either.
No,
They've
no, we
gotten
don't.
used to this.
How does this get generated?
Well, one
No,
at a
just
time.
saying.
Wait. Okay, Jeff had a question.
Well, the question I had is where did the demand for this come from? I mean, it's not a bad idea, but we're talking about perhaps it's a service that people haven't asked for. I don't know. But where did this all get generated? That was one question. The other question is the extent of it, it looks like, if we're talking about ShopRite Kings, Ace Hardware, that's heavy on one side of town. Does it go throughout the entire town, all the way down to here, the Borough Hall?
Well, I think that's the information, we need to get more information on what we're, where they're going.
I think it just goes to exactly that, to the ShopRite things and the hardware store and the banks. I don't think it comes down.
Well, say an elderly person wants to come down here to pay a property tax, or to ask a question, or to see the clerk, or whatever, I mean.
Or doctor's appointments, we don't do those either.
They did that last year, but actually that was taken off of this resolution,
Okay.
because nobody used it, from what the county said, for last year, nobody used it for doctors.
When is the contract due? I mean, is there a timeline on when it's renews?
I mean, it's for 2019, and they've been, using it already this year, so I don't know
Okay.
if there's a due date on it. It just goes through the whole year.
Well, it's paid monthly. It's charged weekly but paid monthly, is that correct?
Yes, that's right.
You had a question, Tom?
We talked about the destinations being King's, ShopRite, that Ace Hardware. What's the origin?
They pick them up at their house?
At their house.
Throughout town?
Throughout town, yes.
I think it's a great service. I mean,
It
it's
is,
not like we
I'd like to know
offer it.
how it's,
But if
who's running it, who's promoting it, because obviously it would be nice if we got more people to take advantage of it.
Yeah, well, that's.
I just don't know who's
So much per person.
promoting it, and how seniors come to know about it and how they know
Well,
how
that
to.
would be up to us, it sounds like, from what I read. That would,
Yes,
we
that's what
we
it
would
said.
advertise it. I mean, I agree with Christine. I think this, particularly, I didn't realize that they pick them up at their home. That really makes things very good for them.
Yeah, that's why I'm surprised more people aren't using it, so I'm wondering
Maybe
why.
they don't know about it.
Right,
They can
exactly.
get an Uber from their home. That's for
Well, you
more
pay for an
people.
Uber, I mean, if they're
No,
people that.
I know that,
Yeah.
but if we could pay for an Uber for them to do
Yeah,
it,
we
it
also
would be
got-
cheaper.
I think I'll clarify whether or not there's something about a service on Mondays, maybe I misread, I don't know, I lost the email, but
Yeah.
it's, we can clarify if there's anything other, because they seem to insinuate that, you can do this, but, it's also the other thing.
There's something going, that they do on Mondays.
Do it on Mondays
That
for-
nobody was participating in, that's the way I read it.
Yeah, and then, if there's a way that we can promote it better or enhance it or do something to, obviously, the 4 people are gonna keep using it because it's billed monthly, but it would be nice to get more people.
But there were some
Taking
weeks that there
advantage
was
of it.
only one person using it.
Right.
Yeah, or they canceled.
But there were also some weeks where more than 4 used it?
No,
There was never-
I think 4 was the
That
max.
that was the
I
max.
think it holds 10 that they can take, but 4 was the maximum that we ever had.
And there was nothing that we could do, like locally for this?
Well, we have
Like
a
if we-
van, but we don't have a driver,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And actually, if we, to hire a driver would probably cost the same amount as using their service. It would be more, yeah, because then
Well,
you,
do we agree that if we had 10 people, I mean, if the thought is that even if 10 people used it, it's too expensive?
no,
that's
no,
Well, no,
I
if we had
think,
10 people using it, it's the same amount as if we have 4
That's
people.
what I'm saying,
using it.
so we're saying, like, what's the break point when 7 people use it on average, or 8 people use it, or 10 people use, like, I'm not.
no, I don't
I'm
think
not
we're
off
saying
that, but-
cancel it. I think,
Yeah.
I
Just
just feel
give
like
some
I need to
clarity
know
on it.
more about how it works and who's in charge and who's promoting
And
it.
about the Monday trips, if that's.
And if there's
Yeah.
another
Sure.
option, and maybe
that's
we're not
included in our
promoting that.
contract, and maybe
Yeah.
the county provides that as
Yeah.
it is.
This is
Okay.
I mean, I think-
supplementary.
Well, but the hours aren't
Like
somewhat
Monday,
restricted,
and then
to
we're
Diane's
paying for
point.
Friday. Why don't we
Sure.
just do Monday and not do
Wait,
Friday?
Yeah,
those
that's possible. I
side
didn't read that.
conversations, okay.
To Diane's point, Uber or Lyft, if they're paying $5 or $8 just to go somewhere around town, you could get a couple thousand rides for this, and people would have the flexibility of picking the date and time that they wanted rather than being boxed into a small window on a Friday or a Monday. So,
Yes, but when you multiply it by 4 people, that math works really well. When you multiply it by 10 people, probably the Uber starts to be more expensive.
Yeah.
There's some break point which you get an efficiency of scale. We're just not there right now,
well, that's all in the numbers that I think the mayor's asking for.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
Also being
yeah. So if we could
litigious
just get
society,
more
I don't know if-
information,
and
yeah.
if we've taken on any extra liability for that.
Yeah, I think, it's a good program, it's a nice service for people, I just would like more people to use it or know that it's out there, and, it's something we do for the seniors, so we should have more ridership. Okay, so, oh God, not enough, I don't have to read this one. We have a proclamation for National Donate Life Month that they're asking if we would like to do this one. So it would, if you're interested in doing that, we would do it on, I guess, the next agenda, next time. Yeah. It's basically encouraging people to, on your driver's license, to mark, when you renew your driver's license, to mark that you'll be a donor, an organ donor. So are we good with doing that proclamation?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it makes sense.
Okay, so we'll put it on our next agenda. New Jersey Local Government Week, this was a request I put in for April 6th, which is a Saturday. The week is the 7th to the 13th. So the Mayor's Wellness Campaign Committee had come up with the idea of doing, and actually this was, Christine found this through the RideWise program.
Donna from RideWise, when we were going over our recap of the downtown project that we did, she mentioned this recovering couch potato program that Bridgewater and Hillsborough.
Yeah, these were just kind of the flyers that they put out. And actually the guy that does this program lives in Bernardsville. He's a Bernardsville resident.
He's a volunteer.
And yeah, and he gives it for free just because he wants people to be healthy. It's a 1 hour, he calls it No Sweat Recovering Couch Potato Program. And so what we thought it would be a good way to connect the wellness with the local government week and have it here so people would come into our building. It would be on a Saturday, have the class in the courtroom so people come into the building and know this is your government building. And then some of the people on the wellness committee who are in fitness and nutrition and whatever would have some resources. Allie would bring some samples from ShopRite and recipes and just make it a nice day for people who are trying to get back into exercise or who have never exercised and just, you know, to start getting people healthy. So it's a 1 hour program, and then he takes people out to do just a really short walk just to get them started. Mm-hmm. So it's a Saturday, so what I need is council permission to have the courtroom open, the building open for a Saturday. It'd be like 1 to 3 o'clock.
Do we have the Saturday picked?
It's April 6th.
I think it's a great idea.
So if you're all good with that, and you're all invited to be here.
Only if you're a couch potato.
Yeah.
Yeah, only if you're a couch potato. Okay, so that's that one. 251, accelerated closing date. They spelled Mako wrong, by the way, on that.
Yeah, this is an easy one, I think. The closing presently scheduled for July, but that was at the seller's request. So they just asked now if it could be moved up to early May, and I just didn't want to unilaterally agree to that.
Yeah, I don't think, does anyone have a problem with that?
I don't see any downside.
No, not at all.
Okay, well, no, thanks.
Actually, it
Okay.
clarifies things even more for us.
Yeah, it's better.
All right. I added a new category here, mayor's update, just so the council knows what I'm doing. So, you know. And it seems like in the first 2 months, everybody wants to meet me, so I've been meeting a lot of people. The first one I have here is from the DEP, Carrie Flew, who came out to meet with us, who is our contact person with the DEP, and is very helpful. She sends a weekly update that I can forward to the council if you're interested of what's going on with the DEP. Any questions or problems we're having with permits, she'd be happy to help us with. So I think it's really nice that they're doing an outreach kind of program. And then I also got from the DEP, they now have a, it's called Recycle Coach. It's a web-based recycling education and information app for counties and municipalities that's at, and they underline, absolutely no cost to them. The county, the DEP has a 3-year contract with them. So you would put it on the website, and then what it does is you can use it to look up recycling pickup schedules, any special pickup days, if there's a change in the schedule because of holidays or weather. It'll have reminders for people to make sure you do your recycling or what items to use. So if nobody has a problem with that, I'll ask Chris to contact them and get it on. So that was the DEP.
As far as DP, did we have coordinated a date with the Public Works, or they were gonna go talk about some options for Nervine Park?
Yeah, I'm waiting for John to tell me what, he said there were some permits they needed.
Something,
So,
yeah.
yeah, I will pass that on to, or have him get in contact with Kerry. The Mayor's Wellness Campaign that I mentioned earlier, we ran a hashtag contest to get a hashtag, and we have a winner who was Ann Squadrito, who has Be Well Beeville. Isn't that cute? Yeah. That was the winner. So Ally is putting together a gift basket for her with some snacks, and I think some of the, I think Ride and Reflect was going to put a gift card in. So what we're doing is we actually have an Instagram and a Gmail account, and one of the members is putting together a list of all the health and wellness people that we have in town, businesses. So we're going to invite them as well to our kickoff couch potato thing if they're interested. And what we'd like to do, Christine had started a Facebook page back when we first set up this committee, and we're asking these, the wellness people in town to submit a tip. Every Wednesday there'll be a health tip or a, some coupon or something, so that we keep it in the forefront of being healthy. So that's that committee. That's a great committee, isn't it? They're really enthusiastic.
Yeah.
Then I met with the Somerset County Business Partnership Director, Mike Kerwin. They are having their 100th anniversary this year, and you will all be invited May 30th at the Bernards Inn. They'll have a networking night from 5 to 7, so it'll be for the businesses and elected officials. And, they're very helpful with, if we need help with any of our downtown stuff, they're good at providing resources. I've attended the Community in Crisis meetings, our hub, and on April 28th, they're having a Chefs Unite fundraiser at the Bernards Inn at 1 o'clock that, if you want to support them, it's a great event. I think they have different local chefs doing samples, and so it's another date. Christine, Diane, Tom, and I read Dr. Seuss at the library. And we just got lovely thank you notes from Shura for doing that. It was a lot of fun. That was a great day. We also had the Field Study Committee has had 2 meetings. What they've done is create an inventory of all our properties, and they're breaking into subcommittees to look at each property and make a list of improvements, prioritize them, and start getting cost estimates. So that's what they're up to.
Can we cross-reference their list of properties with whatever the Public Works group has? So
I'll check it with Doug, because I took it out of the open space inventory. So just, one of them I didn't know, with the Chestnut one I asked you about. I didn't even know we had that one. Jeff and I went to the Raritan Headwaters program on wells. If you want to share your notes on that.
Oh, sure. It actually was really very interesting and educational.
And scary.
And scary in many ways. Just to be brief, they went over the reason for doing well testing and actually not waiting to the time that you sell your house where it's required to have that. And they went over the various things that you would test for, not just the obvious, the coliform bacteria, but nitrates, volatiles, other metals, things, even uranium and radon. I think there's quite a host. And we could probably go into more detail. I'm sure anybody's interested could get in touch with the mayor or I. But let me just say that they're going to have a well testing at a very reduced cost in the first week of April. You'll be able to pick up the kits, and then you drop the kits off either the day we're having the e-waste day on April 11th, I believe it is, or I think the other date was April 27th. It'll all be publicized, but it'll essentially cost you half of what it'll cost you privately if you do that. If you tested for all the things that were really important, bacteria, nitrates, arsenic, it will run you approximately $150, which would be half of what it would be. And I was surprised to learn that we have 933 wells in Bernardsville. So there are a lot of folks out there with wells.
Yeah. It was really well done. It was.
Yeah, it was good.
It's a good program. And last Friday, I went to New Jersey Future Redevelopment Forum, which was an interesting, it was in New Brunswick, and we had the governor there and Cory Booker via internet thing, and there was a lot of information on preparing your town for redevelopment, which I thought would be useful, and I'll share with Bonnie and her group. And what the governor talked about was his New Jersey Communities program, and I guess it's all tied into the budget, but he's having a historic preservation tax credit, which I think for us would, especially with the train station, would be a good thing. And a lot of emphasis on, what is he calling, and the New Jersey Aspire tax credit and the New Jersey Communities program. So they're really invested in community development. So I think hopefully that'll be a good thing for some of the things we're trying to do. But it was an interesting program, and there was a lot on what other towns are doing, particularly Plainfield, Newark, some of the more urban type towns, as well as some of the smaller towns. So it's a good group with a lot of information. If anybody wants to look at I brought the program with me. So that's the end of my update. Correspondence, Tom, you had that Tesla thing you wanted to share.
So I received an email from the company Tesla. I had filled out a form several months back saying that, seeing what they had as far as development. I had read a news article where Basking Ridge at the, what's the name of the place where Basking Ridge is? Dewey Meadow Village is putting in a Tesla supercharger station there. So they have the convenient on-off from Route 78, and I was thinking, our proximity to Route 287 really has a complementary site to that one. So I don't want to respond to so they never said anything. When I filled out the form, nothing happened. But now that they've reached out to me, I wanted to bring it to the council and say, are we interested in furthering any communication with this company to see if they want to investigate our town as a potential place where they would invest in a supercharger station, which would both be an investment from the company, but also would bring, people into our town and possibly, patronize our businesses as well then. So it's just an idea, it's a concept, whether or not we want to have a conversation, there's no commitment, it would just be responding to an email.
Educate me briefly, I know you charge up the car, but is it like something like a gas station, you put your credit card in and you charge it up, or is it complimentary for Tesla owners, but like pay for like a Ford or a
No, so
BMW
it's only for Tesla. So if Tesla were to build it, it would charge just Tesla cars.
Okay, gotcha.
And the cars, everybody who owns one has an account, so the car just plugs in. There's no swiping a credit card or anything. And then the average charge time would be anywhere from like 10 minutes to about an hour. Mm-hmm. And during that time frame, you might have the opportunity to somebody walk across, go to Chipotle, or somebody could go to our downtown station pub or something like that.
How many people did they have a site? Have these cars that would
in
the area that would really use that in the middle of town? I don't know. Yeah, probably.
More than you think. I see them quite often.
They're over 200,000 on the road in the United States of America right now, and they're selling something like 5,000 a week.
Wow.
So.
Where did they have a location in mind of what, or
no,
do you have a location in mind?
No, I didn't have a location in mind. It was really just to fill out a form if your town is interested in hearing from us. Mm-hmm. And I was prompted to think of it because of the article about Basking Ridge deciding to do one or allowing one to occur. I guess, I don't know. There's no investment. It would just be the company.
So you wrote that, but you haven't heard back yet?
No,
I just got an email over the weekend. So before responding to the email, I wanted to bring it to the full council and say, is this something that we as a council want to entertain? And there's no proposal on the table. It's just a matter of opening a channel of communication.
When they emailed you back, what
are you still interested in hosting a Tesla supercharger station?
I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
Well, it depends on what's involved in it. What's the traffic ramifications and where it would be.
Yeah,
I think it's worth talking to them.
Sure.
If you want to follow up on that.
All right, so I'll send an email and just say that we're interested in discussing it with them. I mean, we only have very limited property where you could host something, and they would have to look into it and do some sort of evaluation. And my experience has been that they usually find a local private business that wants to host it. and then they use a
How
portion
big
of
is
the
it?
parking lot.
What is-
The
Bernards Inn doesn't have one for their, I mean, to me, a hotel like would typically have one, but
Bernards Inn has a charger,
but for their
it's-
patrons.
For their patrons,
Gotcha.
right. And actually, there's another charger at the Volkswagen, but again, you know, it's for patrons, I think. And then, so this would be open to anybody who has a Tesla car, but it only charges those cars.
Huh, but it's like a,
It's,
Right.
it looks like a gas tank, but it's kind of open air, you know, modern looking. And
Yeah.
they, anywhere from 6 to 12 or, you know, major places like a mall, you might see 20 stations at once, but they have different sizes, depends
Oh.
where you go, you know.
okay. Yeah, I think, everybody okay if we just follow up and get more
Yeah,
information?
we'll get more information, and anything comes of it, if they say they want to come and meet or something, I'll bring it back to the council. Or if they want additional information or whatever, I'll bring it back to
I
the
could
council.
see where one of the local malls we have would want to have that. I mean, someone who owns a Tesla, you want that person as a shopper. They got extra 30 minutes to kill, you want them buying in your store.
Yeah.
You'd probably have to go back to the planning board.
Oh, you're right, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they may come and look through the town and say, for whatever reason, they're not interested,
yeah.
you know. Okay, so
All right.
I'll email them back and see where we go from there.
Okay, thank you. We had the request to repeal ordinance 181787. We had a letter from a resident about we reduced the area required for bow and arrow from 5 feet to 3
Acres.
5 acres to 3 acres. Do we want to revisit that? Any comments or, oh, yes, Doug?
Yeah, the parcel that he's referencing is .69 acres. So reversing the ordinance would not solve his problem.
Is hunting allowed on the .69 acres?
Because we have the borough has the contract with that hunting club. So that parcel's in there. If we revert it back to the 5 acres, then we're gonna have 2 parcels that are not compliant with our ordinance. So I think if we're concerned about that area, and it's only, like I said, .69, we should probably take that out of our inventory for the hunting versus change the ordinance.
I'm unclear on the
That's
.69.
Laurelwood? It's on Laurelwood?
Yes, Laurelwood, between Laurelwood and Round Top.
That's where our trail is, where the,
Yes.
okay,
Yes, we have, and there's a pump house there.
yes,
Okay, so the ordinance was 5 acres, and you cannot combine properties. So
Right.
you come up with 5 acres.
right,
Okay.
So we reduced it to 3.
Yeah.
Which is, the same regulations that the state has, the 3 acres.
right.
And again, you still can't combine properties. It has to be a 3 acre.
Piece of, and that is not a 3 acre,
No. So we have 2 properties. The one on, as I just mentioned, that property, the one that he's questioning, the one that he has an issue with, is .69 acres.
okay.
And that's in our contract.
But we allowed the licensed hunting club
Right.
to go in there.
Right.
But a local hunter cannot go in
But
there.
they can go, in even though it's .69 acres, they can.
They
hunt
can't
there?
go in
The
there.
hunt club.
Hunt club can.
Yes, no one else.
And that's only during the periods of the
Right.
culling, or whatever we call it.
That is a very small area, 2/3 of an
So,
acre.
I'm just suggesting that.
We just take that off.
Just when we do our contract with the hunt club, take that .69
Yeah.
parcel off, because
Yeah.
the next smallest one is 4.4.
So when do these contracts come up?
Well, it's just, when is hunting season, November
Fall.
or October?
And is this just for the hunt club, or is this ordinance pertain to, like, if I had 3 acres, I could shoot a bow
That's correct.
in my backyard?
That's correct. You have to remember, you're shooting from a stand, and you're shooting down.
And you have to have the permission of the
And you
owner.
have to have permission of the landowner, and you have to file with the Bernardsville police.
Okay.
And you
That's
can't
if they
combine.
do that, but who monitors that that's the way it's done? I mean, when I first moved here, there were people hunting with bow in my backyard. The kids were playing paintball back there, and they almost got shot. And I have almost 6 acres. So, I mean, I'm not real, people have dogs that are going out, and, you know, you don't know if they're in the backyard. How do you know where the boundaries are in the middle of the woods? You can't really tell if somebody's hunting.
Well, it would be just like a hunter coming in from the state, to hunt the property. They have the owner's permission.
But they don't,
It's their responsibility to know the rules of the road and to
But for this instance, my instance, the hunter, somebody next door said they could come on their property. They did not have, I said no, they didn't have permission, I didn't even know they were back there, they didn't tell me they were back there. The kids were all playing on my property, and there's no boundary that he could see, they're in the middle of the woods. So the bow.
It's the hunter's responsibility
to know
make
what
sure
it
he's
is.
compliant. That's correct.
Yeah,
It's the hunter's responsibility.
but what
to
happens
know.
when a kid or a dog gets shot, then all of a sudden somebody's gonna go, well, he wasn't compliant. I mean,
Yep.
is that like
Well,
a
then
risk
he's-
that is we're willing to take? I don't know.
I agree with Diane. I'm, being a former trauma surgeon, I'm antsy about all this, and 0.69 acres really makes me scared.
We'll just take it off the inventory for the.
No, yeah,
I'm not
That's
worried about
current,
the
yeah.
control.
Look, it's on the
hunters.
hunting season right now, so you
That
can't
I'm not
hunt.
worried about. I'm just
So
worried about
It's usually
regular
November
people.
through like
What,
February.
what I'm trying to get at is, are they approved for the upcoming hunting season, or they'd have to get reapproved?
No, they're not, the hunt club.
I think the hunting club, I think is through 19, is through the season.
But the hunting club is more controlled.
Yes.
Everybody knows who they are, what they're gonna do, and where they're gonna be.
They're
I'm
like-
talking about
They're
just
professionals.
regular, like in
Professional.
somebody's backyard.
No, they're not they're amateurs who like to do it. And
Yeah, but they're,
And,
I feel a little more
you know,
comfortable
hunting
with
accidents
that.
happen all the time,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah,
I
but
make
if
my
we
living
take
taking care of
that
guys
piece of property
who
off the
supposedly know what
inventory
they
and
were
not
doing.
allow them to go in there, I think
And our
that's,
smallest piece of property would be 4.4.
yeah, I think that's the
Can I-
better
Again,
solution.
You can't be within, there's all the regulations are, you have to be in stand, you have to be firing down,
Mhm.
okay? And you can't be within, I think it's like 150 yards of a property line. So you're kind of pushed into the, I don't want to say the center of the property, but you're not standing on the property line firing out.
But that's if you know where the property lines are.
That's correct, but it's the hunter's responsibility to know that.
Tom, did you have a comment?
I just had a question. The 0.69 acres, when did it get added to the inventory and why? Because there must have been some logic that the council reviewed in the past, not this council, some prior council.
I
That,
think it was just.
like,
all-
how did it get in
It
there?
was like
No,
all
I
our
don't
Green
think there
Acres
was a,
properties.
connection between the property, we were just using the borough properties and.
So
entering into-
basically, it was like a blanket approval for borough properties.
Right. for
That-
these-
that's how
these
that got
parcels,
included.
And I don't think it was known, this goes back several years, I don't think it was known that the .69 was in violation of our existing ordinances.
Okay.
So it shouldn't have been in there in the first place,
That's correct.
probably.
That's correct.
So removing the .69 would address this one individual's concern. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay.
Is it possible, well, I know this is asking a lot, if somebody asks a homeowner to hunt on their property and the homeowner gives them permission, to make a requirement that the surrounding neighbors should be notified?
Number one, they have to have 3 acres. That's the first requirement.
Right.
And they have to register with the police.
Right.
I'm not sure what the.
Or even if there could be a place, maybe on the police website, where you could look up which properties have allowed hunting, so at least you know that your neighbor has allowed it.
That would help. That would
If we
be
could make
helpful.
that public, that list public, somehow, that people could check.
Okay, we could, I would have to check with the chief to see what the requirements are with that. But maybe we can do our own ordinance that says that's part of our requirement, the hunt in Bernardsville. So I would have to check with the chief on that.
Yeah, I think they would just, if your neighbor has allowed it and your backyards are all contiguous and there's no fencing, it would be nice to know, because then you'd say, okay, I'm going to watch the dog when I let the dog out, or, the kids are not going to play back there for
People
now.
used to just show up at my door and ask if they could hunt.
Yeah, they do that.
Right. And if you gave them permission, you
I
had to
never-
give them a letter,
Yeah.
and then they would have to present that letter to the Bernardsville police.
Right.
And I'm sure there's a follow-up mechanism within the police department, where they would reach out and say, did you truly give them, the permission to hunt? But again, you'd have to be over 3 acres. That's the new law, minimum. So, but we can circle back with the chief on that, but maybe what we can do is amend the agreement
Yeah, I think
that we have with the hunt club.
Yeah.
We can do that by resolution, Jack, or does that have to be an ordinance?
No, it's by resolution, but I think we can write to them and tell them that property is closed. It's a voluntary agreement.
Can the rules be put on the website, like that you have to, the 150 feet and you have to be elevation?
Yep.
Because I don't think that everyone who does that really knows
Yeah.
that.
Probably right at the start of hunting season, we should do a blast.
Oh, absolutely.
The hunters that I know will come in during the day, they set up their stand, they figure out where they're gonna be, and then when they hunt, they come in before sunrise, and they're done by sunrise.
Yeah,
They're out at 6:30 in the morning.
or they're there at dusk, though. Some of them come back at dusk.
Yeah, but, I understand your concern about people wandering around shooting bows and arrows, that's not a good idea.
Yeah, but that's, yeah, maybe when it's hunting season, is we do a blast on our Facebook, on our website.
That could be part of your wellness campaign.
Yeah, right? Stay safe, don't go out when
Yeah,
they're
that's
hunting.
right.
If I recall, Doug, during their prior conversation, when we first looked at this 1787 ordinance, there was also a regulation for distance from a structure as well.
Yes.
Yes.
Property line structure and then total acreage, I think, were
Yeah.
requirements.
Right, we still maintain the
150.
Yeah, it's 150.
provision in the ordinance that you cannot combine lots. So you
Right.
can't have 3 1-acre lots. There has to be a minimum of 3-acre lot.
Yeah. So if we could just, if you could check with the chief on that about whether we can make that list public, even if it's,
Do we govern the type of boat that can be used?
I think that's all
So,
governed by the
Fish and
state.
Wildlife.
Yeah.
Because some are pretty powerful and can go more than 150 yards.
But again, you're gonna be in the span.
Well, that's theoretically, that's assuming the guy doesn't get excited, see a deer and
Right.
change his angle of attack a little bit. I mean,
I think the most accidents you have are the people falling out of their tree
Exactly.
stands.
well, that happens a lot.
Yeah.
We
The
have
empty
a lot-
bobblehead cans at the bottom of it?
we have a lot of spinal cord injuries.
Yes,
during
people
deer season.
fall out of them. Yeah.
I like the idea of making a rule that you have to notify your neighbors.
Yes, if there's a way
Have
that,
a list,
yeah.
public list.
I think that would be helpful, just so you're aware of it. But I don't know if it's something you can.
Well, the
Can do
ordinance
Something
says,
like fishing
it
instead.
lists everything that Doug and we were just talking about, but it just says at the end, the Borough Council may promulgate rules and regulations to implement the standards. So we could come up with these rules,
Yeah,
right? I mean,
But it's better to put it in the ordinance. There
Right.
are other things we want to add, because if people violate them, they can be issued a summons and drag to municipal court.
yeah. Yeah.
So how do we respond to the writer of the letter?
We can tell him that we've taken that property out of the inventory, so no one will be hunting there.
Okay.
And somebody should notify the club. We just-
Yeah, we'll get a letter out to the club.
Okay.
Need a resolution removing this? No?
I think there's a consensus.
Okay.
And it's 0.69 acres, I doubt it's going to be.
Yeah,
material
it's-
to them.
Okay,
Okay, we'll take care of that.
good, thank you. We also, what else did we have? We had another letter from somebody on Mount Harmony Road complaining about the condition of the road.
And it is horrible.
I don't know where that is, because John's not here on our road list, so can we check on that?
Okay.
So we can respond to that, yeah. I know there's,
The Public Works
Oh.
Committee, we're probably working on renewing updating our 3 to 5 year plan.
mhm,
And as I mentioned to Christine, what we're trying to do is the borough's trying to maximize our ability to get grants. So like, we're hoping to get money for Washington Corner this year, and then we have Hill Hill from a couple grant cycles ago. So we know Mount Harmony is bad, and we spoke about that at our last meeting, and we said we need to get that in our rotation. It's not going to be 2020, maybe 2021.
So
can we patch it?
something temporary
Yeah.
that we
Been
can do?
patched, they've
Yeah,
been patching it all the time.
Oh.
It patches upon
There are
patches.
some potholes up there that we're aware of.
Very
We're
bad.
up in that area today. They just didn't get to Mount Harmony, but they're always up in
Patching,
different sections of town.
Okay.
So the next few days, you should see those patched.
all right, good. And the last thing was this Land Conservancy rally, if anyone was interested in going. I know usually Peter Birnbaum goes to these.
I
But-
went once, it was good.
Did you go once?
Mhm.
How was it?
Great.
Yeah? Where is that? Oh, at the Hyatt Regency. I think that's where this was. Was it the Hyatt Regency? Yeah. So if anyone's interested,
What's the date?
it is April 12th. It's a Friday. Yeah, they're all conferences on land conservation, making green spaces, recreation and open space inventory. So, yeah, just let Anthony know, I guess, if you want to sign up for that, he can do that. Do we have anything else?
I have one additional correspondence, I guess, item, that Ralph and I were investigating, and this is, you may be familiar with other towns that have done a Hometown Heroes program, which is a way to honor veterans by placing banners of veterans who are residents or past residents. And again, this is all very preliminary, so we're in the investigation process. We've contacted a couple of people who have implemented the same program in Summit and New Providence.
So you got a letter from somebody, is it?
An email, which I can
Asking
forward
us
on you.
to participate, is that?
No, we kind of reached out to them, and then
Oh.
they responded, where they get the banners from, a possible source. So we don't have full details on the cost, and we also don't have full details on how the program would be funded, because apparently, in the case of Summit, the town doesn't fund it, it's funded by donations. So in other words, if you'd like to honor your member of your family, you would essentially be putting up the cost of that, or perhaps of somebody else who would pay. So it's like a donation program. But I guess the two things that I wanted to bring this up for was, one, is everybody okay if we continue to investigate this for potentially doing it in Bernardsville?
Where would the banner be?
So
Banners, they have them.
Yeah, different poles.
it's a, each light pole, like, so if this is
Oh,
the
the
pole,
light poles.
there's
Oh,
a banner
so downtown?
on the sides with, you could do a photo and then the person's service and.
New Providence
New
doesn't?
Providence is one of the,
pictures.
yeah. And then, we hope to do it by Memorial Day, but
Oh.
realistically speaking, it might be, closer to November.
Not, okay, oops.
Veterans Day.
So you see with the,
So would
So
these
they're
go
up
for a
for
period of
Veterans Day.
time?
no, or was it Veterans Day?
Say that again?
Yeah, I had the same question. So are they
So
don't
we
stay
display
there
them for a
forever?
period of time?
Not a week, I think New Providences are up for a good month or so, and Summit.
It's during Memorial Day and
Memorial
Veterans.
Day.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, it sounds if it's timed with the
Yeah,
event, it makes sense, yeah.
yeah.
You could show Tom that.
Oh, did they-
I looked over her shoulder,
Oh,
that was
okay.
very nice.
Oh, yeah, so, I mean,
Yeah, no,
Hometown
we've-
Heroes was the one, it looked like the one.
Personnel Committee saw it.
In each, are
Okay.
there pictures here? I don't think so. But in any case, I guess the question is it okay if we continue to investigate and then come back to you guys with more
Mary Jane.
specifics when we
See,
get?
that's how they look.
Oh, that looks really
I think it's
nice.
good, yeah.
It does.
Yeah, I think, well, you're doing that in the Personnel Committee?
Well, I actually wanted to just talk with Christine and.
I
and it-
asked the question, I asked what they were doing.
What?
So it just
Oh.
came up.
Ah.
It just
why
came,
that's
I
okay.
I
Oh,
wanted to
got
make
it,
sure
it
that
is a
Christine brought
personnel.
it to the rest of the governing body.
Ah.
And so we did discuss it for a few minutes in personnel before we got started. But as Christine mentioned, it appears that most of the communities that do this get it on a donation basis.
Right.
So I wanted to get direction from the governing body, if you would like us to start out with that in mind. If you approve of following through, which sounds like you do, do you want to keep it strictly on a volunteer, not volunteer, but a donation basis as opposed to
Yeah, I
the
think so.
municipalities?
And it should be somebody who lived here, in other words.
Well, there's a whole, part of the package that I will send to all of you electronically. It's very thorough. Summit did a very thorough program with this and had rules and regulations and all sorts of good stuff. So I'll send that to everyone
Okay.
tomorrow, and you could take a look at it. But we'll proceed to see how you get volunteers together to go out and, ask for donations and who would do that and that kind of thing, as opposed to being a borough process. I know who would handle that here,
Right.
but we'll have to, with
Okay.
a donation thing.
I'd just like to take a opposing view about it being voluntary donation. I think the borough ought to have some stake in this. I mean, these were our citizens. There may be some those guys whose names are on our memorial plaque, whose families aren't here any longer. And there may be somebody there that, once we investigate their history, we may want to honor them. So I think there ought to be a provision where the town can, we're part of this as well, not just
maybe
family.
the town could sponsor one or some number of.
Yeah, so I think it ought to be a joint effort.
I think before we talk about it, we need to find out what it costs.
Yeah, or, other people could donate and recognize one of the people on the thing,
Possibly, but,
I'd be happy to buy one for someone that doesn't have a
Yeah, no,
family,
I hear you.
I got a volunteer back there. No.
I don't know if it's appropriate to comment at this time, but I'm just thinking about how somebody had said that maybe somebody would fund it for a family member, and I'm thinking there might be some families in town, or people that don't have families, that don't have enough money to support one, but would love to have one for their family member. So I think it would be important to open it up to a wider range of people that could then, like, I don't have a veteran from town, but maybe I would donate for people that, would be deserving, and that way people that had less economic means could also be recognized.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
having people do it would also get more people involved in the whole process rather than the town doing it. I think then you get more people helping other people, like you're saying, Carrie, I think that's a great idea, and I think that's the way it should be. I would be happy to donate
Yeah,
to
I think the same
somebody
thing.
who, I think a lot of people would find that as a really rewarding thing and would make everybody feel better.
What might be nice, you have a list and you could sponsor one of those people.
Well, can I interject?
So.
The summit one, these can be structured different ways, but in the summit one, it's kind of like a GoFundMe. So you could just say, I'm going to donate 100 to the Bernardsville Hometown Heroes, and that's it. And then the people who are veterans, or that they would fill out an application to be one of those banners.
Right, they provide that.
It doesn't
it's not
specifically
direct.
have to be like, here's my $100 to put somebody up there.
Charlie
It's
Smith,
just,
right.
You're just donating to the program,
Okay.
and then the applicants are.
But do you have the opportunity to do for an individual person? Like if we
would have to determine. That's
Okay, well, why don't you send us the stuff and we'll review it,
Right.
and then after everybody reads it, we'll talk about it at the
Right.
next meeting?
To mold it to
Yeah,
Bernardsville's
right,
needs.
to how it fits here.
But what the package is, they sent us a lot of information. It's there is an application process. We have we've got an active VFW group, John Sternick and his boys, so we could, we could get them involved also once we nail down what the borough wants to do. We'll certainly get them involved, and we'll go from there. But I just drove, I was in the Summit around Memorial Day, and I saw these things, and it just was
moving. It's moving.
It was, and they're really, Diane was saying that the pictures on this particular style, there's a lot of styles. Jeff showed one from Cambridge that doesn't have a picture, but just has a pretty good size, about the size of one of these tables on a pole.
I love the pictures.
But the pictures are black and white.
Yeah, it really
against the color is.
Yeah.
And the color of the bottom, because my dad went to Summit High School, reminded me that that's Summit's one of Summit's colors for their high school, that crimson.
Yeah.
So ours could be red, for example. I think
I thought we were green.
Well, the borough seems to be green.
The borough is green.
The borough is green, so we could do something.
We're green and gold, kind of. Yeah.
And we are.
I also think it's a great way to get people out and walking around too. Like it's a great walkability feature of anything.
Because it is. It's again, when you see it live, it's
Find the parade
impressive.
route on Memorial Day.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it'd be great
We're
for
talking
the
about
parade route.
our right down Broadway
202,
here.
Yeah.
So we'll see how quickly we could get this together. We were talking a little bit about that. If we miss this Memorial Day because of time-wise where we're at, we'll certainly have it together and put up going for Veterans Day, and then it'll be Memorial Day and Veterans Day moving forward, or whenever. I think one town does it on 4th of July too. So again, it's all up to the community, whatever you want to do. But
Okay, thank you. Good idea.
You're welcome.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Do we have closed session items?
Yes, I have a couple of things that literally,
Can I say a quick
very
question?
quickly.
Once you make those banners with the pictures on, do you keep them? Can they be reused?
No, yeah, we put them back up every year.
Oh, yeah, no, we'll put, oh, yeah, no, no.
Once
we'll-
you've made your initial cost.
Oh, yeah,
you've
no,
got-
yes.
You know, you've got it done.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
We will keep them here in
Assuming
the
there's no future
DPW.
wars.
Yeah, or you could probably keep adding to them if
Oh, yeah,
more come
yeah,
up.
yeah. I mean, you know, we'll walk before we can run,
Yeah,
because I'm sure there's many people that want to be a part of this, but, you know, we can only hang so many
Well,
at
you can
once.
also, if we get so many, you can do some Memorial Day and
Right,
then another
that is
set on
correct.
Veterans
right,
Day.
and rotate them.
That is correct. There's it's just.
A lot of ways you can do it,
A lot of
so,
ways,
yeah.
a lot of ways you can do this, but it's, I'm glad you support it, because it's a good thing to do.
Getting the pictures may be the hard part.
That's true. Well, yes and no. I mean, you know, I think I mean, I know I have pictures of my dad, and, you know, I think if you get some people that are still left in town, the ones that have maybe not left, maybe friends have some pictures.
I was thinking like, you know, the World War I coat.
Oh, well, yeah, well, I bet.
Might be in the library.
Yeah, good point too.
I had one more item, I forgot.
It's not me.
Sorry, everybody flinches.
Going back to the New Jersey Local Municipality Day, Government Day, one of the suggestions they had on the flyer they sent us was doing a photo contest, so I wondered if they were trying to, you know, do some easy, simple things, is have people submit pictures of what makes Bernardsville, Bernardsville, you know, whether it's Borough Hall or the pond or the Millicent Fenwick statue, you know, things that are unique to Bernardsville, and maybe just have a simple photo contest, and then we can run the photos if that sounds like something to do that's easy.
Yeah.
And then I gotta talk to you, I don't know if we wanna have Borough Hall open one day for people to just come and walk around, or, you know what I might do, maybe we'll do like I'll do some hours in the afternoon where we can sit here if somebody wants to come and just be available. We'll say it's come and have coffee with the mayor and whoever council people are around, and something like that.
Sure.
So just so we're participating in that, because then we get to send our stuff to the league, and they'll put it on their website if we've done something, so. Okay, good. All righty, so, oh, wait, Tom.
Are you gonna do an open session?
Fine, open session, Tom Wood, come on. If this room was full, I wouldn't do this, you know.
Quick question for Ralph, I think.
Okay.
Didn't we give the DDC, Downtown Development Committee, $18,000 or $16,000 last year?
Yes.
I think it was $15,000.
That was for getting the RFP written.
Right. And Penn State and that whole thing, because I know.
Well, that
couldn't
was
get Penn State
volunteer,
unless we
yeah.
could get that check done.
University of Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I was
You said
making.
it's,
Yeah, it was UPenn,
My
that's
flyer.
correct.
And we just cut it $33,000.
Try and come up with more for us, thank you.
That's almost $2,800 a month in the 18 months they've been a committee. And this whole thing was sold to us back in the day, that there's no cost to the resident. This is all good, the planning purpose, and we're just gonna put it out, and it's starting to cost a lot of money. And don't you think it'd maybe be worth asking them where we're at with more money? You give someone an inch, they take a mile. That's just the way it works. I see it all the time in my business. So here we are. They got us for that 15 last year, and they weren't leaving tonight until they got their 33 and change. And it's all great, but we're just subbing all the work out the committee should be doing. It just seems like this is getting expensive.
Yeah, well, they
And it
are
also seems like
volunteers.
this money's going towards tasks that we probably should have conquered before we put out an RFP, which makes our RFP, as they said, unusual. I think we would get a better response
Yeah.
if we weren't rushing into that and spending so much money. Just a thought. I know we're penny pinching on every other little thing, but no one's batting an eye at all this money that we're dishing out to the committee. Just from what I'm witnessing.
Yeah.
I know we sort of have the same sentiment, but I think Tom touched on deliverables with each of those things, and I do think this is, you know, probably money well spent because it needs to be done. And we asked them one thing way back, and I think they did say that, you know, it's beyond the scope of what, you know, as volunteers they could do, so they had to actually go out outside and do this.
So to bring people in from Tennessee to tell us how to do our town, that seemed a little far out to me. You know, and I just, we
Our
should keep in
local, our
touch
local
with them.
guys bid a higher price though too.
Yeah.
We did have a local Burgess and Associates, you know, who's done work for us before, and one of their people works with us.
With the planning board.
So, and they came in at a higher number, so I think there was some justification for why they went with that particular quote for that particular part of the business. I think the other thing is that, there's one thing that I've heard in the last couple of years, being involved on the council, is that everybody in town wants to see something happen with our downtown. And I think having outside experts, gives us a little bit of credibility as well. I do agree that, we need to keep tight reins on how we're spending the money. But I'm hopeful that in the big picture of things, it'll be a good investment that'll return the borough and return on our investment in the borough too, because people's property values are linked to how vibrant our downtown is. People's,
And I realize everyone's, afraid of being, no, don't protest it, but I'm not out here to
it's a good comment.
I'll be the first to admit I don't like change. And when they first came out, I was like, get the heck out of here. I'm never gonna wash my car. That very last thing they gave us here, I mean, that was my turning point. I was actually like, man, we're really onto something. And then unfortunately tonight, some of the stuff I heard, it sounded like, well, shouldn't we have had that done for the RFP? And I think we're kind of dancing around. Maybe we have to stutter, and that got delivered to us. But when it was all said and done, it's like, oh, here's another 33 grand. It was just like, whoa, what's next? Because we're still early in this year.
Yeah.
So it's far from over.
I appreciate your concern, but I think they've been pretty clear about what their deliverables were at various stages, and they've been meeting them. And I think, it's an iterative process, and they're going into the next phase. And I think that their requests have been appropriate. I think you're right. We keep our eye on it.
And that's all I'm saying.
But I think they've done a good job.
And we've paid Mount Harmony 2 times in the amount of time we paid Burns Ave. Jeff DeLeo said 2019 Burns Ave.
He did? Yeah?
Like 2 years ago. But that's it.
Okay. No, thank you for bringing it up. We will. I think we were all.
Please escape with Mount Harmony.
I know.
The last time they paid it because, boom, fresh road, same like Claremont, any hill. Never skated Burns.
Yeah. Burns Ave is a hill?
Yeah, from the top.
Yeah,
sure.
it is. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Is that on the schedule? Do we know? Burns Ave? I'll have to check.
As Doug mentioned earlier, we're looking at a comprehensive plan, right, for road paving.
Well, that was, yeah. Yeah, the walkthrough, and we talked about putting, the little,
That's
what do
the
you call them?
Complete Streets Walkability.
Yeah, that was.
They told me that we were supposed to have it this month, so hopefully.
We stumped them.
We're gonna, no, I don't think so. I think they just.
Well, are they coming next week, right? Are they coming to the next meeting?
That's Ride-Wise.
Oh, Ride-Wise, that's not
They
walkability.
come to that was the downtown.
I thought we had the walkability thing done. Didn't? What was the thing we just?
There was two things that one went before the other. So
Ah.
the first thing we did was Street Smart.
Oh, right,
We put up the
yes.
signs, they
Yeah.
observed people texting and walking and who was using the crosswalks and not.
It's the same group.
They're
They're kind of
affiliated,
all-
but not
yeah.
all the same. So that group, it's called New Jersey Ride-Wise, and they do work with some of the same, groups at Rutgers, which.
Students.
Right. So, not students, professors and grad students. So in any case, so that the downtown thing happened with the crosswalks, and that report is done, that was done with the police department. So at the next council meeting in 2 weeks, we're gonna have someone from Ridewise here to answer questions about that report, and the report
Is on the website.
Is on the
Yeah, but the walkability, we don't have that report yet, the one that we did that one day.
So that was a grant, and that grant, we applied for the grant from Complete Streets to have them come, conduct the walkability workshop, and then provide a report of recommendations as a result of that workshop.
Crosswalk in front of Bistro 73.
In front of where?
Bistro 73.
Well, no, so now we're talking about Bernards Ave. So, the Bistro 73 crosswalk has been approved for a long time.
Oh, yeah?
Right?
We're waiting for the state to do
We're
it.
just waiting for the DOT to come and do it,
Yeah.
but they're pretty slow with that. So, the Bernards Ave walkability workshop was, we walked from the park to Prospect. That, it was about, I don't know, quarter of a mile, I guess. That was the scope of the grant. And once we get the report back from them, then that will have recommendations of what we should do to improve walkability, just for that stretch of walkway.
Good.
And then what I'm hoping is that, and what I've been told by the Complete Streets expert people that came and did the workshop, is that report, once we get it back, will give us some of the meat, per se, to apply for grants to get the roads and
To get some of that work done. Yeah, and there were some good ideas. People
Yeah,
came up with some really good ideas, so that
So
was,
it shows that we're serious about wanting to have improvements done, and it will give us some of the backup that we need to actually get a grant or grant money for that.
And I think I could be misremembering, but wasn't part of the concept of the train station from that committee to have like some kind of flyover so you could actually walk from West Street
That was
to...
discussed when we were there, because
That would be awesome, because I walk down the hill, have to go around to the train station. I know NJ Transit, it'd be,
not gonna happen.
Our children might benefit from it, but,
no, your grandchildren.
in the workshop, when the people were there, they noticed the train station.
Right.
And then we kind of took a little side.
Trying to figure out how you could get there.
Side jump over there, and, you know, is it feasible? Yes, but it will probably be very costly.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's something that we could look at down the road, but, you know, I don't think.
Yeah, you gotta have a dream. Yeah, I think it was,
Provide
there's-
a very much needed connectivity with that.
Yeah.
Well, I think you could have a walkway that comes down, and then you could cross right on level, on grade, near
Right.
the driveway. I mean, there's level crossings in Millington, there's level crossing in Far Hills, there's level crossings in
Lyons has one at the
Peapack,
station.
Lyons, you know, so it's not unheard of to have, and if you have, you know, a railing, so people had to go across, they couldn't just jump across the tracks, they have to go around the crossing. It seems like you could do it without a flyover bridge, you know?
no, you'd have to cut stairs like down
Yeah,
the side
yeah.
of the hill.
And then
it's
build
pretty
a little
steep, so you'd have to
sidewalk with
do-
a railing
Yeah.
that funnels all the
But
foot
you'd have to
traffic
get
to.
NJ Transit to
Somebody
agree to
But
it.
versus a flyover, I
Oh, yeah,
mean,
no flyover.
much be,
Yeah.
yeah, well, I'm just, I know NJ Transit.
from unlikely to unrealistic.
Yeah, well, it's,
That's
it's like,
right.
they
There
make
you go.
easy things
From
hard.
improbable to impossible,
To circle back
impossible to
what you said
improbable.
about putting investments into that, studying the train stick, like, to have topology, look at that. In my head, I'm seeing it as, those people are the experts who could figure something out like that, how to connect those areas. And if, you know, if we're talking about the train station, then we're talking about the neighborhoods around it, you know, just by, that's what a plan does.
Yeah,
And that's
it'll
why
all
we
come
need
together
them.
eventually.
Yeah,
Right, we need them to come in and give us that kind of expertise, because as,
They're gonna come up with stuff that we
Right.
can't.
Oh, and they proved that day, I mean, some of the stuff,
Right.
because I do know everything.
You
And
do,
I
yeah.
said they were just getting out for the afternoon, you know, out of work, I'm thinking, yeah, nice little afternoon off, but it really was enlightening. They brought some excellent points.
Yeah.
That was fun.
it was really a good experience. And thank you, Christine, for bringing that here.
Good.
Yeah, and yes, we will keep our eye on the costs. I think what we're, you know, one of our top priorities is revitalizing the downtown. So, you know, we're invested in doing this, but, you know, it's a good point that we have to kind of keep a handle on how much we're invested.
Yeah,
Yeah, this is what's
Yeah.
next.
yeah.
Right.
We're cognizant of that. We're
Yeah.
just trying to think differently for a change too, so, you know.
we definitely need professional help.
Yeah, we all do.
All right, folks. have a
Thank
good
you.
night.
Thanks, Tom.
Bye.
All right, so motion for executive?
Second.
Okay. Wait, I have to go.
Yeah, I know, break.